last encounter. But that was pre-season, and not only the rules have changed, but all bets are off.
Bends it back. What a goal!
Who will capture the hearts of the West? Find out when Fremantle clash with West Coast today, live on Fox Footy Extra.
If you're 18 or over and would like to be in the Melbourne audience of Fox Footy's newest variety quiz show, Dropkick, call 03-9646-7218 now and leave your details. All audience members are also in with a chance to become a contestant on the show. Come and join in the fun as your favourite AFL stars and celebrities go head-to-head on Fox Footy's Dropkick, coming to you each week from Sirens at the Telstra Dome in Melbourne. So don't be a dropkick, call now.
Hi, I'm Paul Meadows from the Fremantle Dockers, and you're watching Fox Footy Channel.
The 2003 AFL Premiership season is brought to you by Harvey Norman, Telstra, and the 1.8-litre Nissan Pulsar.
Thompson will fly. He's kicked one miracle goal already. Cousins still running.
Magnificent play by Analogue.
Last season, both Hawthorn and Richmond were expected to play in the finals, but it wasn't to be. Disappointment for both Peter Schwab and Danny Frawley. But things are now certainly a little bit rosier. The Tigers looking to make it 4 in a row, and the Hawks looking to rejoin the pack with another win. And good afternoon and welcome to an absolutely glorious day here at the MCG as Richmond enter the arena. A big crowd expected for... They're not trying to get carried away to win their 4th in a row, but they know how important a win over Hawthorn this afternoon will be, and they're playing some pretty good footy. It is Anzac Day weekend as the Hawks also enter the arena, courtesy of Daniel Harford. Congratulations to Daniel today, playing his 150th game. It's been a bit of a road back of recent times for Daniel to get to 150. He came back into the side last week when an emergency, and it'll be a terrific day for him, a very popular player at the Hawthorn Footy Club, and he'll certainly enjoy today. Beautiful conditions, startling day, and we expect a very, very good game in front of a big crowd, as I mentioned. Terry Wallace joins me. Terry, we're not sure exactly where these two teams are at. I think today we might find out.
I think no doubt by the end of today we'll know exactly where they're at. It's a huge game for Hawthorn. I think they really need to win to get themselves back into the final 8. As for Richmond, they've probably done better than what most sides would have expected, and a win today, 4 in a row, puts them right up there.
Importantly for Hawks fans, there is a late change that will really affect their setup. Jonathan Hay, who was back to a bit of form last week, is out. So Nick Stone comes into the side, but Thompson and Vandenberg back in does balance it out a little bit.
Yes, it does. Certainly Vandenberg will be handy in and around the packs, and Thompson is really a key forward for them. It also gives them the ability to roll Everett down the forward line and Thompson in the ruck at times. It'll be interesting to see what they do with their back end. They're a bit short now, where the Rawlings goes back there. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yes, they may have to rob Peter to pay Paul there a little bit. One man who's been leading from the front is Shane Crawford. Number 1 in disposals, 26 last week, and he was playing with Gastro. It was a wonderful performance.
Oh, he's a great player and has been a champion player at the club for some time now. He's a boy who gets in first, in and under, and wins the ball for him, runs the ground very well.
Likewise for the Tigers, leading from the front again is the captain in Wayne Campbell, and he seems to be evergreen.
Yeah, saw him live on Fox Footy the other week in his 250th game. He's a club leader, and he sets example for the club.
Well, let's take a look at the Richmond squad as well. And as you mentioned, they may have an option now with Hay coming out of the Hawthorn side, but Coughlin's been excellent for them.
Coughlin's been a very good player. Probably over the last couple of seasons, they haven't been as tough in and around the action as what they would have liked, and Coughlin's really changed that around for them.
And Tivendale and Bowden been getting plenty of run. You think that perhaps Hall might get on the ground pretty quickly?
Yeah, I would think that they'd like to try to stretch them. The left footers in Tivendale and Bowden are vital keys to the game, and I think Tivendale's a really important player for them now.
Well, Danny Frawley will be pretty pleased with 3 wins in a row. Here he is with Wayne Schwass.
Danny, 5-day break. How have the players and the coaching staff handled such a short break leading into today's match?
Yeah, look, we stressed recovery from the minute the game was finished against St Kilda. So, look, recovery early in the week was super important. We've only had the one light run this week, and that was yesterday. So the boys really ran on top of the ground. So, look, we want to make sure we get away to a good start. You know, Brisbane, they're the benchmark, and I suppose they did 2 interstate trips and then had a 5-day break. So, look, our boys are conditioned for it. We've had 5 months of hard training. So, look, that's not going to be a factor, I wouldn't have thought.
With a hot day looking as though it's coming today and a short break during the week, plenty of rotations today?
Yeah, look, there will be, but it'll be a gut feel thing. Yeah, look, we haven't got anything planned on the bench. We'll just have a look at our boys and see how they're travelling. We've got we've got plenty of run on the bench. It's really important. So we've got a lot of athleticism and speed on the bench, and they'll be utilised today.
Andrew Cracker replacing Justin Blumfield, shown some form?
Yeah, look, he has. He's played 3 games down the VFL. His pre-season was terrific and looked like he was going to go to the next step. So, look, we don't expect too much from him today, but I'll be rapt if he gets in there and just crumbs a couple of goals off Stafford and Richo down there.
Win today, 4-1, would have been a good start leading into the start of the year?
Yeah, look, there's going to be a lot of work done today before we get there, but, it's a really evenly matched game. This I rate Hawthorn as a quality side. We think we're a quality side. So, look, the midfield matchups are going to be important. I suppose both defences are going to be under the pump. I think the defence that wins today is probably going to win the game.
Thanks, Danny. Good luck today.
Thanks, Mark. Yes, Danny Frawley there. And is it the defence, Terry, that is going to be the deciding factor?
I think it'll be a key factor to the match, but winning the ball out of the middle, I think, is really where it's at.
Every week it is, isn't it? Well, down in the boundary, Wayne Schwass a couple of weeks ago almost drowned here at the MCG. Today, he might even get sunburnt. Good afternoon, Wayne.
Good afternoon, Matty. Yes, not complaining at all today. It's terrific conditions for a game of football. Currently 21. Ground level, it's very warm at the moment, so I would anticipate there'll be a lot of rotations going through the benches, and both sides today will be contesting the Coloston Trophy, a life member at both clubs, so an eagerly anticipated match and good rewards at the end of the day.
Yes, thank you very much, Wayne. The game is not too far away, wherever you're watching around Australia on Fox Footy, but it's congratulations to Daniel Harford on 150 games.
For yourself, get out. Nobody can make you cry the way I have. Nobody can make you for
Today, it's the game the whole of Western Australia has been waiting for. The local derby. Fremantle versus West Coast, live from Subiaco. West Coast had the wood over Fremantle, beating them in their last encounter. But that was pre-season, and not only the rules have changed, but all bets are off.
Bends it back. What a goal!
Who will capture the hearts of the West? Find out when Fremantle clash with West Coast today, live on Fox Footy Extra.
I didn't have a job as such previous to joining the Navy, and I went straight from school to the academy. The RV Franklin rescue on board Anzac was about the first real incident that we'd done. Between 3 or 4 of us driving the ship, we got the ship out there and then come back as quick as we could. He was pretty lucky, and the seas were pretty big, and I mean, it makes you feel good because you did the job properly and it was effective.
Don't know the reason why you love me this way. Don't know the reason why you're there every day. But I know when I hold you near, you are the reason I am here.
As a navigator, your basic role at all times is to be on the bridge, driving the ship. The officer of the watch also has to deal with more than one thing at a time whilst keeping the ship safe. It's given me a huge sense of responsibility.
We have someone claiming to be Nathan Brown from the Western Bulldogs calling in. Is it the Nathan Brown?
Yeah, g'day, Plough. How are you, mate?
G'day, Brownie. How
Now, does that sound like yeah?
That's
Now,
not
I'm just ringing up after Plough's words of wisdom. I was wondering whether I might have the yips up kicking 3-6 or it was just the white boots, do you think?
Well, look, certainly, Brownie, your goal kicking has fallen away since I haven't been in the tutelage.
White Line Fever, live weeknights on Fox Footy Channel.
Welcome back to the MCG. The toss of the coin here between Shane Crawford and Wayne Campbell. Derek Humphrey-Smith, the umpire, with the duties. Shane Crawford has won the toss, so Hawthorn will kick to the right of screen. And as we've said from Wayne Schwartz down the boundary, it's a beautiful day. There's no advantage to either end. And speaking of advantages, it's a great advantage to our Fox Footy viewers to have Kevin Bartlett join us. Good afternoon, KB.
Good afternoon and welcome to Fox Footy fans right around the country. I think that's always a good move with the winning of the toss there, and Hawthorn, of course, kicking up towards the city end, because that means they'll come home that end, and that means keeps the Tigers away from the cheer squad. So do get right behind the side coming home to the punt road end.
Well, we mentioned Mark Coughlin, terrific last week, and gets in and under, he gets it, and he gets hold of plenty of the ball, and he's very good defensively as well.
Yeah, Matthew, well, look, I've been really impressed with the Tigers over the last few weeks. I think they've played some terrific football, and it's players like Coughlin and Johnson that have been getting in and under, and that's where they'll win the game if they're going to win it today.
Who are you leaning towards, gentlemen? Hayes out, it's a big loss for Hawthorn.
Well, I'm tipping the Tigers. They've got 3 on the trot at the moment. I think that's the best form of the competition in the first 4 weeks of the season, so I think they're good things today.
Well, I think it's an even money bet, but I'm going for the Tigers.
Well, Spider Everett could be the man to prove you wrong, because it's going to be very important as we see Joel Smith enjoying his time with Matthew Richardson. We're underway here in round 5. The Hawks against the Tigers.
Well, Vandenberg in his first game back went straight to Campbell, so that'll be an interesting duel.
This is an interesting matchup. Joel Smith, of course, lacking the height of Matthew Richardson. I reckon that Peter Swab may have gone back and had a look at Solomon when he played on Richardson in that final. And just with a smaller opponent playing on Matthew Richardson, so it'll be interesting. And already he's tried to rough up Matthew Richardson, so it's a small man against the big man.
He's got to get off him, doesn't he, KB? If he's going to play that sort of game, he's got to get Richardson up the ground and get him running the other way.
And obviously he's going to run off him as much as he can, and maybe the Hawks are going to give the ball to Joel Smith.
Umpires for the day, and well, we've finally got something happening in the middle of the ground. It'll be a free kick to the Tigers. The man we spoke of in Coughlin drives it wide. Richardson not going to get there. Back into the hole is Campbell Brown. It's good off half-back last week. That kick doesn't find his target. Crawford. Good presence of mind to get around a couple of Tigers. Get some running support. This is Bateman. Loves to run and delivers it towards Rawlings. Ball at ground level now. Chance for the Hawks. Gasper comes through with some strength. No one to give it to, though. It's still a chance for Hawthorn through Leckis. Back to Graham. Graham goes inside the 50. Beautiful kick. Found Barlow in the lead. Good vision from Mark Graham.
Well, Barlow playing in front. I mean, that's the place you've got to be as a forward. He just gave himself room on Fiora, left the space in front of him, and then just charged into the open space. But it was good vision as well by Graham.
So Chris Barlow, 6 goals, 4 so far for the season. Coming off a pretty good game with 20 disposals last week in their defeat of the Sydney Swans. He's inside 50. The distance shouldn't be a problem. He's hooked it to the left. First score for the afternoon to Chris Barlow and Hawthorn.
Well, that was very kickable. He has kicked 6 goals for the season. He'd be disappointed with that, because if the Hawks can get away to a good start, they're one of those sides, Terry, they do play on confidence and they love to run out of defence. All of a sudden they can start hitting some targets.
I think there's no doubt that that's the case. There's a bit of breeze around, so that end will be difficult, the City end, as it has been in the early games so far this season.
Chappie's got it squeezed up between the back pocket and half-back flank. For Pettiford coming across is Everett. And just too big and too tall. So Everett, who's been a great find and a great pickup for the Hawks, kicks one in deep. He's looking maybe for Dixon. Been taken away by Zantuck, and Zantuck kicks the ball out wide. This is Graham. Just dancing on the spot, just weighing up the options, kicks the ball inside 50. Dixon's going to be a target. Going up with one hand, that time was Rawlings, and Dixon trying to keep the ball live. Finally takes it over for a toss back in.
Well, really what we're seeing at the moment is that just the Richmond are crowding up the Hawthorn's forward 50, and it's just going to be difficult until things settle down over the initial period of the game.
So from the boundary throw in, So it's a good chance for the Hawks. Stafford, game number 151. Going to ground was Newman. So in tight, in close. This is a tough game now for the Tigers and so for the Hawks, because it's very, very important that one of these sides today can just somehow get an ascendancy. The Tigers and the Hawks have been so close over the last couple of years. Last year, of course, they had a win apiece. Matthew Richardson, the last time they met, booted 5 goals. He was best on ground, got the 3 Brownlow votes. And playing Joel Smith on him today is a very interesting setup by Peter Schwab.
Just on that, KB, the last time they did meet, Stafford went forward for them as well, was a danger, and he picked up the 2 Brownlow votes. So it'll be in the back of Danny Frawley's mind that he knows he can stretch the Hawthorn defence.
I think there's no doubt that that's going to happen through the course of the game, especially with Hay out. That would have been a real bonus for the Tigers. But at the moment, it's an arm wrestle, and that's what you expect to see with such an important game for both clubs. They're putting it on the line early, and it'll break shortly.
So just the Hawks with the 1 behind. Umpire Kieran Nichols to bounce. Stafford and Everett. Well, Everett just goes to ground, and Stafford keeps his feet. But rode beautifully by Lekas, and he's kicked a terrific goal. Angelo Lekas, the first goal of the afternoon. Tight angle, wonderful finish.
Well, he's a quality player, Angelo Lekas, and he has that ability. As we watch the ruck duel, the 2 rucks going at it, it was good effort by Spider Everett to find his feet again, and really it was poor checking by the Richmond team to allow Lekas just so much room inside 50. You've just got to be a lot closer and a lot tighter with your direct opponents inside the forward 50. And on that occasion, it was Rogers that was the direct opponent for Lekas.
He's one of the most improved players in the competition over the last 2 or 3 years, hasn't he, Angelo Lekas? One stage there, it looked like he was just going to be one of those journeyman-type players, but he's become such an important player for the Hawks. So's Mitchell, out of the centre square, pumps the ball inside 50, getting back is Rawlings. Well, he's taken the most marks this year for the Hawks. He's playing his 99th game, and he's booted 9 goals.
I thought it was really pleasing that the coaching staff of Hawthorn left Rawlings up the forward end. They could have, with the Hay going out, they could have pushed him back to the back end, but he's been in such great form, they've done the right thing.
Jade Rawlings will be shooting from right on 50. Straight through the centre. What a start for the Hawks.
Well, it was an important start. Hawthorn really, as we've said, they're a confident side, and they want to get away to a good start at all times, as every side in the competition does. Again, we just watched the ability of Everett in the middle of the ground, getting the ball to Mitchell. If they get first use from Everett like that throughout the duration of the game, they're going to be very, very difficult to beat.
Well, they're just slightly ahead of Richmond in clearances so far this season, and a lot of them due to Peter Everett's ruck work. You mentioned before the game, Shane Crawford very good. Sam Mitchell's giving him a hand so far this season in these centre clearances. 2 quick goals for the Hawks. The margin 13 points. This time Stafford winning it. There's Coughlin burrowing through, but he's got to get past a couple of tackles, one from Harvard and one from Crawford.
Well, they're the 2 young guns. Mitchell and Coughlin are going head-to-head today, so that'll be an interesting duel to see which of the 2 youngsters gets the better of it.
Another bounce down. Doesn't really favour Everett, it just falls into Stafford's lap. Graham trying to get it forward, does well. Quick kick out of the middle is always on the menu. And just seen over the line quite comfortably by Aaron Fiora. Rory Hilton starting on the bench, as with Fleming, Cracker, and also Hall. Hawthorn inside their 54 times. Richmond yet to take it over the line. Breeze got it back to Crawford, Lekas, the midfielders combine to the danger zone in front of the square. Spoil came from the Tigers, it goes to Tivendale. He wants to get onto his left, goes back to Fiora. The left footers combine, this is Kane Johnson. Always uses the ball well. Bowden. Half-back flank for the Tigers. Centre wing Richardson, right with him Smith. Coughlin backs back into it, takes a terrific mark. Could perhaps go through the middle, decides to go down the line more. Over the back, Smith falls into his hands, then kicks it clear. And fortuitously for Hawthorn, it falls into the arms of Raiden Tallis.
And the run is on from the Hawks. Running very, very hard is Nick Rees through the centre square to centre half forward. Bowden's got to get back. They were looking for Dixon, too much carry on the ball. Bowden recovers, spears the ball wide, finds Johnson. Cross half back. Richardson's got to be the target in front. Looks far too big for Joel Smith, but Joel Smith is quick, so he'll be there, maybe with a bit of body pressure. If he doesn't take a couple of good clean marks early, he just might lose a bit of confidence.
The one thing Joel Smith does as well is he always keeps his feet in the contest, so if you don't mark the ball, you know he'll be on his feet and going off the other direction.
Everett. First touch of the ball for the Hawks. Got a ball up on centre wing. 2-1-13 the Hawks. The Tigers yet to score. Joel Smith on screen.
Just notice that Rogers is actually coming off a wing and then picking up Crawford after the bounce, so he's got a big job today.
Everett down to Tallis, caught by Richardson. Campbell. Now the free kick is coming back and it's going to Tallis.
Been a good player, Tallis, in the early start to the season. Been quality player both defensively and offensively, playing on Kane Johnson today.
To Bateman. Down from the back pocket, backs himself in. This young man is in a hurry. To Everett, stands and delivers. Scrappy old kick taken by Chappie. Quick hands to Rogers. They'll come away quickly. Coughlin. Hands and knees. Bowden. Just shoveling the ball out was Johnson. Finds Houlihan, who looks again for Richardson out in front. He's got 4 to beat. Tallis wins out. Goes short and finds Sam Mitchell. Edge of the centre square to Tallis. Hawks now running in numbers. The kick's a shocker. And chipping in is Leon Cameron.
Chance now for the Tigers to go inside 50 for the first time. Richardson again the target. Pettifer couldn't take control of it. Vandenberg back on the side to Tallis, a little bit untidy, but Lekas now has plenty of options. One of them, Graham. They can really run it here, Hawthorn. Graham, long kick to the flank, going back, another great mark, Rawlings. Wants to move it quickly. Low ball, past Barlow. Taken one-handedly, nice Thompson. They're still keeping it going, it's still alive, and finally the boundary line comes for Aaron Fiora. Already Rawlings proving that that decision is right, Terry.
Oh, he's in scintillating form so far this year, and Gasper's a wonderful player. Been one of the real keys to Richmond's game in the back end over the first 2 weeks, and he's got his hands full.
Nathan Thompson played for Box Hill last week, kicked a few goals, and be a little bit underdone, but he'd be happy to be back. Everett. They move it forward once again. Through Stone it was. Dixon wanted the free kick, didn't get it. Another ball in. It's been at all one end of the ground so far in Hawthorns, and they lead by 13 points with just under 12 minutes remaining. Here's Dixon.
Just as we watched Dixon, there wasn't a lot in it. I didn't think there was much there.
35 metres from Hawthorn's goal. Everett has been getting his hands on the ball again. He does so. Here's Reece, sets it up. Tallis should kick a goal and does. Great start by the Hawks. Running in numbers, Terry. Every time the ball has been across half-back, you look up. If there's 2 Richmond players, there's 5 Hawthorn players.
Yeah, they've come to play. There's no doubt that that's the case. And you can run with confidence when you've got somebody like Spider Everett at the moment who's getting first hands on ball all the time. We just watch him here. Again, works to the front of the pack, pushes the ball over the back where Nick Reece just run onto the ball with a lot of confidence and set up the goal for Tallis. Everett's really smashing Richmond at the moment. I think they're going to look for a change. They've got Hall sitting on the bench, and I think they're going to have to bring him on and just change it around a little bit.
2 of their first 3 goals from boundary throw-ins courtesy of Everett, and the opposite to Hawthorn's start from last week. Sydney were 3-1-19 before Hawthorn got going. This time it's reversed for them. Mitchell out in front of Rees, with him Chaffee. Goes back, wants support, gets it in Fiora. Back through the middle, that's a woeful kick. Crawford, handball, he wanted some run, he got it from Osborne. Osborne blasts away just from behind. 20-0 here at the MCG.
Well, you called it right, Matthew. He just blasted away, had a little bit more time, had done all the work. All he needed to do was just balance himself up and get his head over the ball, and just a little bit of nervousness in that kick.
That was a real let-off for the Tigers. That young boy, Osborne, a few weeks ago, played on Burgoyne with Port Adelaide when that young boy dominated, kicked 5 goals against the Hawks, and he did a terrific job from Upway to Coma. But had his opportunity then as Campbell comes away from half-back, kicks to a one-on-one contest. Dixon in front of Callaway, wins out, needs support. Graham pounced on it. To Lekas, who's been very good in this first quarter. Bateman, much improved player. Wobbles the kick forward. Again, numbers went out. Dixon rockets the ball wide. And a free kick is going to the Hawks. It's coming back.
Well, it's all going Hawthorn's way at the moment, and that's because they're first in for the football. And it so often happens that you start to get the breaks, the free kicks go your way when that's the case.
Osborne to take the free. Wayne Swash is on the boundary.
Thanks, KB. A couple of key matchups in the midfield today. Raiden Tallis on Kane Johnson. Osborne with Tippendale. Rogers has got the big job on Shane Crawford, and Richie Vandenberg on the Richmond skipper Wayne Campbell.
Well, speaking of the devil, he's got it. There's Thompson on a lead. 4 goals last week for the Box Hill Hawks. Took an absolute ripper mark as well. It's a big-time player for the Hawks. Vandenberg just caught in 2 minds. Indicates he wants to kick it long. So a chance for the high flyers. Thompson got his hands on the ball. Couldn't take it. Callaway caught. Campbell forced over the line. Through for behind.
Well,
in fact, he's paid a free kick.
Well, they look a little bit sluggish at the moment, the Tigers. I never mind when an opposition gets a couple of goals on you early in the match. I don't think it's a huge bearing on the game, but you've just got to watch that it doesn't get out of control here.
Tigers now to bring it out towards centre wing, in front of Pettifer. Campbell Brown visits the fence, not too happy about it either. He wants Pettifer. Pettifer's going to get a free kick. Terry, what do you do in a situation like this from a coach's point of view? Let Campbell Brown settle down by himself or have a word to him?
I just think you just send the runner out, just have a word to him and just, look, we've got the advantage at the moment, we can't be giving it away.
Back with the action, it's Smith over the top of Richardson, and there's plenty of feeling in the game. The crowd becoming involved as well.
Well, it was silly play by Campbell Brown because he would have got a free kick. The umpire wouldn't have appreciated him being pushed into the back towards the fence. And when you got the ball, the opposition can do anything they like to you.
10-1 the inside 50s, reflected on the scoreboard as Richardson tries to make amends. Tallis, 7th disposal already. Barlow leads in the race to the ball. Not quite, not yet, now. Did well. Crawford just sweated off him and waited till he gained possession. Along towards Thompson. Got it. Thought about Crawford. First game back, not prepared to back himself from outside 50. Disappointing kick. Rawlings on the lead.
Well, you've got to get a little bit of that from Thompson when you're underdone. He may just mishandle a couple of marks. He double grabbed that one, and then the kick wasn't exactly where it was. That's only a matter of timing for him, and they wouldn't have any problem with that at all.
This time over the top was Hall. Campbell. Oh, gee. Great courage shown by Harford. It spills for Brown, though. Centering kick. Tigers have a few back there. Good spoiled. Comes to ground once again. Hall has to do the groundwork. Over towards Kellaway. He slips as he kicks it, but somehow gets through Rogers. Clean bowl. Over the top of Harford. He gets the free kick. And we quickly go down to Wayne Schloss.
Yes, Ray Hall has come on the ground and has replaced Mark Coughlin. So Richmond throwing on a tall for a small.
Well, Terry Wallace said that would probably happen fairly early in the game. We've only played about, we're only halfway through this first quarter, but Daniel Harford, in his 150th game, was a late inclusion last week when Richie Vandenberg went out with gastro. Played well, kicked the goal, and was very popular with his teammates. He's inside 50. He's got it.
Matthew, I tell you who was very good in leading up to that goal was Nick Reese. That ball from Campbell Brown just floated. It looked like the Tigers were going to take a mark. There was 2 Richmond players there, and Nick Reese came across, got his fist to the ball, created the crumb, and then Harford, therefore, was able to get this free kick.
He's a tough player, Nick Reese. He's in the top 5 in their best and fairest last year, which might surprise a lot of people. He's a quality player. I'm really pleased for Harford. He's playing now, having a real go. He took a courageous marking attempt just earlier, put his body on the line again. He's playing with a bit of passion about his football.
Do you guys want to change your tips, by the way?
David Loates has come on too, and Thompson is taking a break. I saw David Loates also go to the forward line against Port Adelaide. He did surprise with his agility, so he might be a problem as well. He's a big player. Coming away as Leckers from half-back. Great play. Rawlings is killing the Tigers. The run comes from Graham, tumbles the ball in. Dixon looks dangerous. Can he kick it off the ground? Can't get there. Kicks it alive. Clever play. Was it through?
No, umpire said it's a throw for that flick back.
Okay. So the Tigers through Callaway. Have it in the back pocket. Short for Gaspar. Just over 7.5 minutes left in this opening term, and Bateman has been a winner in defence. Tallis. The chase came from Houlihan. Just sidestepped around him, looking for Paccioni. Too much carry on the ball. Callaway needs clean hands. Kicked off the ground by Leggers, and Everett will stroll in and dribble through a goal.
He almost stumbled on that.
What a start for the Hawks, Terry. Can you believe it?
No, I can't. I've seen Richmond over the last couple of weeks, and they've played wonderful football, and they just don't look like they've come to play today, the Tigers. There's been no ferocity after the first initial couple of minutes. They're mishandling the football, as we're seeing there, and they're just not playing with the same passion and drive as what they were. That's taking no credit away from Hawthorn, who have been just wonderful in the opening stanza, and that man, Peter Everett's been a real part of it.
Not his best kick. In fact, he might have even had to replace the divot there, but the end result was fine. I can't remember a game, Terry, where it's been 13-1 inside 50s. Completely one-sided.
Highly unusual.
Here's Johnson. Roden. Make it 13-2. What can the Tigers do here? Richardson. Free kick, and he's got it. Tiger fans are happy.
Now he has to get his head over the ball and kick the goal just to kickstart the Richmond cause. He can't afford to miss this type of opportunity. It's a 30-metre set shot goal. Not much in the free kick. He's got to nail it.
How'd you see the free kick, Kevin?
No, he was being held. I think the cameras caught it brilliantly where Joel Smith had him by the back of the jumper.
Well, Matthew Richardson, 4 goals, 8 so far this season. He's missed 1 game. Such an important player for the Tigers, and they just need to get something happening. Richardson for the Tigers first. Looks pretty good off the boot. He's not sure. The umpire is. It's a behind. Did exactly what you didn't want him to do, Terry. Miss.
Well, you just had that feel, didn't you? When things aren't going your way in the game, you need to have somebody that's going to actually turn it back the other way, and it just wasn't the case.
Crawford to bring the ball back into play. 32 plays 1. Just over 6 minutes left in this first quarter. The Hawks have jumped the Tigers, running in numbers, playing with confidence. There's Crawford, displaying that confidence, sets it up magnificently to Brown. So all of a sudden, they're at centre-half forward, 2 against 1. Rawlings to Barlow, who's a danger man, can't bend it back. Through for behind.
Well, it's a quick transfer, and that's the beauty of having somebody like Shane Crawford kicking the ball out from full back. He's just his natural pace and athleticism. He just takes them on and basically gets around 4 or 5 Richmond players before he even kicks the ball.
Chaffee for the Tigers. Gaspar's going to be the target. It's a great kick. Loates stands the mark. Very promising player, David Loates. Last centre bounce jumped right over the top of the Tigers, got his hands on the ball. Kane Johnson from half-back goes short. Cogling just got caught in 2 minds there. I think he wanted to leave it for Roden. Poor handball. Picked up that time by Fleming and drives the ball straight back into the arms of Brown. Tigers have been very slack at picking up the Hawthorn players. Looking for Harford. He's got it. It was a great kick. There was no other option then, because when you looked up, there was a big hole and it was full of Richmond players. Harford sets it up to Loates. This is a great kick. He kicked the goal. That is a miracle goal.
And Kevin, you were just saying how good a player he is.
Well, thank you, David Loates.
When you're hot, you're hot. It was an excellent goal, and I've seen a bit of this young bloke over recent times as well, and I was really quite happy that the Hawthorn hierarchy decided to leave him in the side when Thompson come back in. It would have been very easy to drag him out of the lineup. Now with the 3 tools, it puts real pressure on the opposition clubs.
I must admit, I thought he was trying to centre the ball, but it's a terrific goal.
He might have thought he was too.
We'll ask him afterwards.
He's got a big leap. Watch him at this centre bounce. Only playing his 8th game.
Hawks in complete control here at the MCG. 6-3 to a behind. You're right, Kevin, he got over the top, but Johnson for Richmond getting it forward. Coughlin couldn't mark, goes the second time. Campbell over the back, wanted Fiora. Mitchell cutting it off. Been impressive in the first quarter, and he's opened up Tallis. What a quarter he's having. This will be disposal number 9. He's got plenty of space to run into. Dixon is his target. Centering ball for Dixon, or Rawlings. Couldn't quite get it. Bowden back towards Zantuck. Players want a free kick. Spills out to Leckers. He's already got one of these. He's got 2. Almost identical. Hawthorn have got 7. And the handball came from Richie Vandenberg and set up Leckers for his second goal.
Well, they're just smashing the Tigers at this point in time. And Kevin, you were saying that there was a lot of Richmond players haven't been responsible for their direct opponents, and I think they've got lost a little bit. What's happened is there's players coming off the line, coming off the wings and coming into lock-on and tag blokes in the middle of the ground. And the Tiger players they seem to have been a little bit lost on who their direct opponent. That's twice Leckers has virtually been standing by himself inside 50 to kick a goal.
It's a good point, because they've come out here on the members' side and they've got loose players right throughout this opening first quarter. Last time the Tigers failed to score a goal in the first quarter against Hawthorn was round 15, 1975. So they've got 4 minutes to make amends. Crawford from the centre square goes wide. Rawlings playing in front of Gaspar. Bowden, good hands. Sets it up to Callaway. So the defence of the Tigers have been under fierce pressure in this opening term. Chappie, the ball carrier, goes wide looking for Richardson. Too big, playing in front of Smith. Finds Hall, who's come off the interchange bench. Just grubs the ball along the ground. He's looking for Stafford. Boundary throw in. 7-3-45 the Hawks. The Tigers 1 behind. Richmond 4th on the table. The Hawks 9th. Tigers have won their past 3 games. Hawks have won 2 from 4. Coming off beating Sydney last week. And that form was pretty good.
Well, this is what a lot of people have been waiting for Hawthorn to play like this, and they've been terrific in the early part of this game.
Well, it's a test now for the Tigers. See whether or not there was some criticism, not criticism, but some people suggested they'd played maybe the 3 worst sides over the last 3 weeks. So they're keen to stand up today as Chappie from outside 50 has a long bomb. Great kick. It's got the Tigers' first goal on the board.
And he's a valuable commodity to the Richmond lineup, Chappie. Playing at half-back, he's a good running player, sets them up, and I think he's been involved in all their victories. I don't think he played in round 1 and has been involved in all their victories so far this year, as we see Kane Johnson leaving the field.
So, some relief for Tiger fans as Chappie drives it through. Good game last week by Mark Chappie, and 21 disposals as Cracker, the player that comes on for Richmond. But Kane Johnson, he's into the side this week for his first game of the season. It's a 38-point margin as Mitchell, once again, to Leckers. Out of the centre, Barlow at the back. Spoil came from Newman. Barlow went again, Zantuck gets him. Mitchell, good hands though, now they're away. Fleming, towards Coughlin, Bateman, the spoil, trying to go again. That's in the back. Free kick to Angelo Leckers, and this will be possession number 9. Quickly on with it. They've moved it very quickly all quarter. Crawford to Mitchell, and their disposal has been excellent. Rawlings, and they find the body once again.
Geez, he's working hard. Rawlings ran about 60 or 70 metres to just present himself, full board, full tilt to present himself for that mark. It was a great play.
Back to Osborne, high ball, Everett the target. Spider couldn't get it, needs a crummer, it's Barlow. He's got plenty of time, he realises that, and hooks around for another goal. Barlow gets his first, 1 goal, 2 to Barlow. Hawthorn now have the best opening quarter of the season.
Well, they've been wonderful right across the board, just running and working hard for each other, and they've played some pretty sharp football early in the game. Sam Mitchell just worked his way out by himself to create the ball down to Rawlings. The thing with Spider Everett down forward is, even if he doesn't mark the football, he just draws the ball. He draws a lot of attention to himself. Everyone worked to there, and Barlow, playing in front of his direct opponent, was just able to read it better than anyone else.
8-3-51 the Hawks, the Tigers 1-1-7. Thompson having a bit of a breather for the Hawks. Everett's in the goal square. Lokes is in the ruck. Campbell, quick kick to centre-half forward. Looking for Coghlan. One at a kind bounce. Got an ugly one. Slapped on that time by Leckers. Osborne does well. Got a bit of talent. Half forward line. And there's Rawlings again. What a first quarter by Jade Rawlings to Tallis. Pumps the ball back. Getting back is Stafford. So the Tigers just trying to regain some composure. Tivendale goes wide. Finds Bowden. It's the kick back towards centre-half forward. Playing in front is Richardson. He's got it. Not paid. They want a free kick. They'll get a ball on.
Well, I think Hawthorn would be very satisfied. I mean, obviously with the scoreboard, but with
I think they would be.
Just a bit. With this matchup, with Smith playing on Richardson, I don't think that they had any worries. They know that Richardson's going to outmark him on occasions. That won't worry because it's just allowed them to keep their structure in place.
Campbell got a chance to kick a goal. Right on 50. Penetrating kick. That's a wonderful goal. And Wayne Campbell playing game number 252 today. Moved past Kevin Sheedy on the all-time list down at Tigerland of 251. Now the 9th highest in the history of the Richmond Football Club, and that is a wonderful goal.
Well, it was an excellent captain's goal too. When you're under the pump, you need a couple of blokes, a couple of your key players to stand up, and really at the Richmond Football Club, it's normally Wayne Campbell that does so.
8 disposals already. He's leading for the Tigers. Can they just sneak another one before quarter time? They're down by 38 points. They'll have to get one more, and they may be a chance here through Coghlan. We're inside the last minute. Richardson, long lead once again, gets a terrible bounce. It falls for Leckers. Smith with confidence. That's been the thing that I've been impressed with Hawthorn. They've backed themselves in close. Wonderful kick to Graham. Barlow. He's under the pump there. And the kick from Graham disappointing in the end because it was well short.
Angelo Leckers going everywhere with Joel Bowden. Bowden pushing him virtually back inside 50 now, but he's been a dominating player for the Hawthorn side. Bowden's had a few kicks himself, but just the possession rate of Leckers has been too much.
11-6, Terry. Campbell going forward. All Hawthorn here. Mark Graham protected Chance Bateman's back. Called him in. Tallis slips, but they had the numbers because Bateman was backing him up. Strange kick. Not one to be happy with. Stafford was for the Tigers. The clock may beat them, though, as they switch it wide. Out to Callaway. Through the sunlight, he streams in front of Hall. Down low for Big Ray Hall, and the clock does beat the Tigers. But I think they may be pretty keen to see quarter time, really, because it's been a marvellous opening by Hawthorn. In fact, it's the second highest opening quarter by the Hawks in the history of games against the Tigers, and they lead 8-3-51. Richmond, a couple of late goals, 2-1-13 here at the G.
Tonight on Fox Footy, the Lions and the Dogs let loose. But can anyone put the bite on the Brisbane Brigade? Think about it. Lethal's Lions take on the Bulldogs tonight on Fox Footy Extra.
It amazes me how many businesses waste time with stuff like this. You don't have to muck around with phone lines. Telstra ISDN is a proven service that allows you to combine your fax, internet, phone or even FPOS lines into one. So you don't have to lose business while you're changing plugs. You don't have to waste time, which is great for small business.
Simpson is proud to sponsor AFL Auskick because we can't think of a better way for kids and parents to spend their time together. Simpson, time for life.
Your team line up first.
Mike Sheehan, Russell Green, and John Barnes looking splendid in green tonight.
I don't know, Hunter. You was hanging it on me.
Fair dinkum.
Yeah, fair dinkum, Mike. You just can't sit back and just let them run over the top.
No,
You've got to fly the flag, mate.
Sometimes you're in a situation where you've just got to do things.
We did some stupid, dumb things, and we're not going to do it this week.
John Barnes working beautifully.
Oh, will you tell us the truth then, Hunter? There's something going on.
Well, I just asked. They changed their mind.
You might be a librarian like these blokes. Unbelievable, you blokes.
Fox League teams, live Thursday nights, 8:30.
Welcome back to the MCG, wherever you're watching on Fox Footy around Australia. If you're a Hawthorn fan, you'd be very, very pleased with what you've seen in the first quarter. 8-3-51, 2-1-13. They've spread the workload, Hawthorn. They've had 7 goal kickers. Lekkas, the only man to kick 2. And Tallis and Lekkas as well have been getting plenty of the ball. Campbell, almost a lone hand for the Tigers. A couple of boards there for Danny Frawley. Might need 2 or 3 magnetic boards, KB.
I tell you what, Wayne Britton is an enthusiast, isn't he? I mean, he's down there talking to the group of players that he's involved with. Wayne Campbell was there and Joel Bowden. I mean, and the veins were sticking out of his neck, Terry. I mean, he's just so enthusiastic for the Tigers, just like he was at Carlton. It was good to see.
Another huge game on Fox Footy today, or this evening, is Showdown 13, and their captain, Matthew Primus, not playing for Port Adelaide. They did win last time. He didn't play, and he'll be on the couch with Jared, Mike, and Robert Walls on Monday night, so don't miss Matthew Primus. And let's go down to the boundary with Wayne Schweiss. He's with Donald McDonald from the Hawthorn camp. He's probably pretty pleased.
Donald, the ability of your ruckman to give first use to your on-ballers was critical in that first quarter?
Yeah, no, Spider and David Loates have done real well for us. But I think just at the ground level there, you know, I think our guys have really given us a good look at those 50-50 contests. And if we can get it in who our blokes won out, well, then we're a chance.
21-5 inside 50s, the pleasing aspect. The boys are capitalising on the ventures into the forward 50.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, Richmond get numbers back, so we've got to get it in quick, hit the packs hard, and we're getting the score on the board.
Thanks, Donald.
Terry Wallace, Fox Footy's own expert coach. What does Danny Frawley do? 38 points down, quarter time.
Well, what he does is he doesn't panic. I mean, he's got to show to his team that he's still got faith and trust in them. I don't think you can say to them that you're going to turn it around in one quarter. He'd be trying to sort of say, if we can win this one 5-2, we go 3 goals down. The real significance has just been the way that Hawthorn have gone about their footy. 59-46 kicks is a bit of a margin, but the 21-5 inside 50s has been the real difference between the two sides. It's really been that the Hawthorn side's played proactive football. Richmond's been reactive.
Just about underway for the second quarter, and it's Greg Stafford who'll be starting things up for the Tigers up against Everett, who was just terrific in that first quarter. 13 hit-outs to the Hawks to 9 for the Tigers, but a couple of the Hawthorn ones resulted in goals directly. Umpire Derek Humphreys-Smith to begin the second quarter. Tigers to come back. Coughlin, Stafford, and so often as we see, another bounce down straight after the first one.
One of the telling stats from that first quarter is that 3 on-ballers, Lekkas, Tallis and Crawford, 30 possessions between the 3 of them.
It's just too much football. I mean, if that continues over the duration of the game, Hawthorn are going to have a massive victory.
Everett has been terrific today. Getting his hands on the ball first opportunity for the Hawks. Johnson has his kick smothered. Everett, the chaser, the tackler, good to see. Loose ball. They'll set it up through Newman, didn't really hit a target. Bowden had to be quick. He gets the support from Chaffee. It's a beautiful kick. He finds Fiora. The lead is on. Richardson's got to be the target in front. Just wheels around. He's looking for Stafford getting back. Should take the grab. Great effort by Crawford. Got his body on the line. Took us back to the days when he played on James Hurd at centre-half back. It was a free kick.
Yeah, it was
going to the Tigers.
There was a wonderful chase down by Roden.
D-Rod.
Yes, look, he just really willed himself to get that ball back. Crawford's effort was wonderful for the Hawks, and Roden's was the equal for the Tigers.
Yeah, good tackle on Kane, who started on the bench in just his second game of AFL footy.
He's been at 7 goals for the season, David Roden. So he's equal top goal scorer for the Tigers, along with Leon Cameron, who I think might be on the interchange bench as we speak. So Roden, very tough angle. We did see David Loates for Hawthorn kick a miracle goal in the first quarter. So Roden. pushed it right and threw for a minor score.
I think we're going to see that pocket's going to be a very, very difficult pocket to kick goals from throughout the season while there's no stand up that end.
Well, here's Shane Crawford's work. Just use his body to back in and just create the contest and unbalance Greg Stafford. He's doing it all. Skipper, he's going to kick in as well. Measured kick to Lekas. There's those midfielders once again combining. Bateman, who takes it outside there, or rebounds from their defensive 50 more than any other player on the Hawthorn side, to Barlow, who's presented himself. Long lead from Rawlings. The confidence of Barlow to go there. And again, Hawthorn move it quickly. Stafford has got back to create some defensive pressure on Dixon. Johnson was there. So too Thompson, the big man, stolen though by Johnson once again. He gives it off to Tivendale. They need some run out of him now, the Tigers. To centre wing and Houlihan. Hasn't had any opportunities so far in this match. Adam Houlihan now squares it up to Rogers in the middle. He's allowed to play on. And if that kick's right, Chaffee will just sit nicely and wait for it. So a wonderfully weighted kick from Rogers. And you'd back Chaffee to make the distance and finish this off. He's a wonderful kick.
Well, it's a great opportunity for him. It's his second chance that he's pushed forward and second opportunity for a goal. There's not enough contested possession in this game at the moment, and I think Hawthorn have already shown that they're the more efficient side when the game's played in a basketball style of game. Richmond's got to mix it and match it a little bit with them and put a little bit more contested pressure on. This is an important kick.
Well, he's lining up for his second goal, but more importantly, for the Tigers' third. Just inside 50. Pretty good off the boot. It's down. First goal of the second quarter to Mark Chaffee. The Tigers edge back. The margin back to 31 points.
Well, if you're coaching the Tigers, what you're saying is that we want to get it back probably 3 goals by half-time, get ourselves back into the match. If you're 3 goals down at half-time in today's footy, it's nothing. So you've just got to bridge the gap. They've got one of them now. They're just going to try to multiply and get a couple in a row. But Chaffee's been a very good player off half-back once again today.
Bit of a late starter too to football because he fancied himself as a baseballer, went across to the States and tried out, came back and Tigers selected him. So it was a good choice. Has been a very good player.
He's a key to their backline run. I think he's probably their most important running backman.
8-3-51 the Hawks. The Tigers 3-2-20. Hawks by 31 points. Mitchell bangs the ball down towards centre half forward. Getting back is Chaffee. Speak of the devil. Doing it at both ends. Callaway goes wide. A bit more run from the Tigers when they've got the ball. Fiora just couldn't hang on to the Sharon. Let's go down to Wayne.
Benches for the start of the second quarter for Hawthorn, Vandenberg, Pachoni, Lotes and Clark, whereas for Richmond it's Cracker, Fleming, Pettifer and Cameron.
Boundary throw in. Everett has been taking the front position. Lekas has been so good. He's had 12 possessions today. Just bounced the ball off the ground. Back towards Rawlings, who's taken 5 marks. Chaffee over the ball. They won't hold the ball. You can't dive on it. You've got to knock the ball out. He's got away with it. Reese has got it. Tumbled to the ground. Crunch. Here's a chance. Quick hands from Coglan to Bowden. As Bowden comes away, backs himself in. Needs support. Caught. Loose ball. Didn't get the handball away. Tigers look a little bit perplexed at the moment as Dixon unloads. Long ball. Through for a behind. Just got caught up. The Tigers then just a bit unsure, weren't they, Terry?
Bowden didn't have much down the ground, so he backed himself into run with the footy, but really didn't burst away. And once again, great tackling by the Hawthorn forwards, placing real pressure on Richmond.
Wonderful chase by Chris Barlow. Never gave up on Bowden. So now it's with Campbell. Brings it to Member's side. Chaffee once again going forward to present himself as a target. This is Ben Kane. Well, dropped there by Campbell Brown. Hilton started on the bench, kicks it forward, but it's only into 3 or 4 Hawks, and one of them is Barlow again. Kick was well weighted. It found half it. He's in 2 minds. Called the play on by the umpire now. Keeps it low. Tallis there. Also Thompson. Good talk by Thompson. Called Tallis out of it.
Well, leading in there was 5 Hawthorn players inside 50 without a direct opponent. It's just Richmond, I've never seen them play this loose. They're just blokes all over the ground. Harford just had any number of players that he could have picked out. There was 2 of them that actually went for the ball then.
So Thompson back in the side for his first shot on goal here in this second quarter. One stage the Hawks led by 44 points in that first quarter. Tigers have steadied a bit. Thompson, not bad, but just drifting off for him. And rush through for a behind. .33 margin here at the MCG. A little bit of cloud cover just come in for the minute, but that should disappear because fans are enjoying a beautiful Melbourne day.
Tivendale goes short, finds Hilton. Tigers look a little bit better in this second quarter. Campbell trying to set it up. Beautiful kick. Finds Houlihan. Goes wide. Richardson is going to be the target. As long as he plays in front, he's going to be very tough to beat. Smith did well. A bit of body pressure. Finally taken over the line by Campbell Brown.
I just think that Richardson's actually getting to the ball a little early. He's just got to hold his leads a little bit. With the strength and the power that he's got over Joel Smith, if he gets there that early, he allows Smith to actually get the last lunge at the football rather than just holding back and then forcing it towards the ball.
Everett, again, getting his hands on the ball first. Also wondered, Terry, that with such a height difference, whether or not Richardson would be better to stay in the goal square.
Just stay at home.
And kick the ball up, because you would think he's going to outmark Joel Smith on every occasion. Now, because the boundary throw in his head, we've seen Loach get back, he's going to be the extra tall option. But in general play, I don't know whether Hawthorn will be too worried if Richardson's leading up the ground with Smith right behind him, because he'll apply a bit of body pressure, as you're saying, and he's probably not as dangerous to him.
And it also allows Smith to rebound back the other way as well. If he's playing 15 metres out from goals, you get no offensive drive from the Hawthorn defender as well.
Because we've got to mention that Jonathan Hay hasn't taken his spot in the Hawthorn side, so they're a tall, short down back, and if the short player's playing on the tall, who's leading a long way up the ground, it just takes away that little bit of danger for him. Pettifer on the bench for the Tigers, along with Leon Cameron. Houlihan was there. So it's a boundary throw in on centre wing. Tiger skipper Wayne Campbell, 11 possessions, leads the tally for the Tigers. Chaffee's got 10, and for the Hawks, 13 to Leckers, 11 to Tallis, and 9 to Crawford. 5 marks to Jade Rollins, who's been a dominating player in centre forward. The free kick will go to the Hawks. Wayne Campbell has been pinged. Leckers. Make this possession number 14. Again, another loose player, Osborne. From centre wing towards centre half forward. Barlow in front's got it. On the juggle. Thompson's going to be a target. So's Paccioni out wide. Loose ball. Got to be pounced on. Paccioni and Dixon battling hard. Tigers under pressure in defence. Here's Rawlings. Does well. Quick snap. Bouncing ball. Thompson's trapped it. Can he keep it alive? Squeezed up on the boundary line. Taken to ground. Boundary throw in.
Well, it's levelled out a little bit at the moment. It's just become a bit of a wrestle. But realistically, Hawthorn wouldn't worry about that. They've got the time and the scoreboard pressure on their side.
Paccioni to Tallis, who kicks a goal. Rams at home. 2 goals to Roden Tallis. And again, the great ruck work of Peter Everett.
Well, if you take a statistic of goal assists, that's the player initially that sets up the goal. I think Peter Everett would be #1 in the Hawthorn lineup at this point in time. He's just given them an armchair ride. What does concern me is how much room, you know that Everett's winning the tap out so easily, how much room are some of these players getting? You know, Tallis that time was on the end of it, but it's just been lining up and queuing up to get on the end of Everett's efforts.
And you can talk about set plays all you want. I mean, most of the time it's going to go over the back. I mean, they know it's going to go there.
Yeah, it's been disappointing. The defensive efforts from Richmond so far in this match have been quite disappointing.
Once again, a goal from a boundary throw-in. 9-5. 3-2. Bit of volleyball work from Dixon. Probably would have been better off to grab it. Zantuck. Crawford. Right with him, Coghlan. Ball hasn't moved out of the centre square.
Caps off to Spider Everett. He's done a wonderful job since moving across from St Kilda. He's really stepped up. He's been determined to show and prove a few points, and he's doing exactly that the way he's going about his football.
12 hit-outs already for Spider. This time, though, it goes for the Tigers. Crawford just sidestepping nicely. That was touched in flight. Mitchell misses the target. Here's the run, though. Incredible running from the captain in Crawford to Tallis. Everett, we've seen him kick these before. 50 metres. Oh, he's done it again. Spider, take a bow. Reminiscent of the goal he kicked when he came back from injury last year when he was playing for the Saints. He just stormed onto the ball inside 50, banged it on that big left foot of his, and 2 in a row. Great work again by the Hawks, Terry.
Well, he's a quality player. The setup at the start there, Crawford was just given so much room out the back of the pack. Basically, the Richmond players wanted to stand in front of the direct opponents at the baller, but that just allowed Crawford to have virtually 20 or 30 metres, and then they just run in numbers, get overlap football going, and that man, Spider Everett, he's having a magnificent game, and you know his quality use, you know he's a good finisher, and that just shows it.
Wayne Campbell taking a breather, 12 possessions for the Tigers, leading possession winner. Here's Everett again. The big Spider comes charging in. Crawford's always a worry for the Tigers because he inevitably plays well. They just don't seem to have the player to shut him down. There's Everett signalling to the bench. Might have got a whack in the face. Stafford through the centre square to half forward. Cracker, he's got it. Long man with a lot of talent. Richardson says, kick it high to me, kick it high. In front, should take the grab. Too big and too strong. And that's where he should play, Terry. Don't worry about leading. If you've got a guy on you that's a foot shorter, just stand in front of the goal square.
And he played it well. What he did was he just moved himself up the ground a little bit to give himself a bit of space so the ball could be kicked long and deep in directly to him. If it becomes an arm wrestle, he's going to win it every time. Smith can't just stop him in those circumstances. If I was Hawthorn, I'd still remain with Smith. I mean, I don't think Richardson's done enough damage, and obviously the scoreboard being the way it is, I think they should stick to their guns.
Well, he hasn't kicked a goal. And that's important for the Hawks, isn't it, really?
Exactly.
Because
Look,
it's Richardson kicking goals, which is that's where he's very dangerous for the Hawks.
Yeah, he's looked dangerous, but until it's scoreboard pressures there, you just leave your job the way it is.
So Matthew Richardson directly in front from just 25 metres out, should kick a goal for the Tigers. He's happy. So a goal to Matthew Richardson, his first for the match.
Peter Everett came straight off after that centre square bounce. Lotes came straight on, and very hard to tell what's going on there, whether he copped one in the face or whether...
Well, I thought he was holding his mouth.
He looked like he was holding his mouth, didn't he?
Let's have a look. Wayne Schwass?
Yes, Peter Everett's come straight off the ground, as you mentioned. He's got a knock on the left-hand side of his face. They're just assessing it at the moment. He looks okay, but I don't think there's too much certainty as to exactly the extent of the injury.
So the fourth goal to the Tigers, the first to Richardson. The margin is 39 points. Hall out of the air towards Johnson. In and under hard, gets the free kick for it. They want to move it quickly. Not to be, it's back with the former Crow and Kane Johnson. Richardson on the lead. Got him. Stone on him there. And, well, look, they've had to make that change because Stafford has gone to full forward.
So they've got Stafford and Richardson, the two tall timber.
And you've got Joel Smith actually playing on Stafford. Yeah. It's a big ask.
Oh, he might as well play on the crane behind the goal, Joel Smith, because they keep getting taller.
And Ray Hall's gone to the ruck. So that's a good move by Danny Frawley. He put a bit of pressure on the Hawthorn backline in terms of height.
Well, that's something you spoke about at the start of the game, wasn't it, Terry? That they wanted to get that going early.
Oh, look, I thought they'd do it, but they just haven't had enough ball in the middle of the ground to sort of set it up. And now, I suppose they've started to win at least a little bit of even share in the middle of the footy ground. If they can start to put this pressure on them, chip away and just kick a couple in a row, you just never know.
Well, Richardson's gone back the stall gift distance. And as you can see there from the reverse angle, it's a lovely shot of Richardson right on the 50. Starts it out right, stays out right, still in play. Hall over the back, down at ground level, still a chance for the Tigers. Working well, Cracker. Oh, they've kept it alive. They just need someone to get a little bit of luck. It's not to be. Hawthorn to clear it. Newman, almost a good mark. Chaffee, liked his second quarter. Into the middle. Have to be clean here. Could work against them. Harford, Osborne with pace. Tivendale likewise. Play on's the call. The Tigers away. Tivendale, the little chip pass over the top to Hilton. He can run to just outside 50. High ball, looking for the tall timber up forward. Graham came up and backed himself to rush it through for a behind.
Let's go back to Wayne Swass.
Yes, not a lot of news coming from the Hawthorn bench. The doctor spent a little bit of time, but Spider Everett has since grabbed an ice pack and he is icing the left-hand side of his face at the moment.
Looks like the left cheek was the right elbow of Stafford in that ruck contest. Caught Spider Everett. I'll be able to check a little bit later on, Wayne, whether any swelling at all, because quite easy to crack a cheekbone under those circumstances. We saw that happen to Matthew Richardson a couple of weeks ago. Osborne, still in the back pocket, goes short. Another loose player for the Hawks. It's Graham. Great defensive work a few moments ago. How's this been set up? Campbell Brown goes short. Looking for Thompson on the stretch, has got it. Well, talk about loose players there, Terry.
Well, they're giving the Tigers a lot of trouble coming out of their kickouts. They've just been able to manage to drop a bloke out the back of the zone every time, and once they get the ball past the initial 50-metre period, there's just no one there, and it's causing some real concerns. I mean, something that certainly the Tigers will look at half-time.
Hawks by 38 points. Thompson. It's kicked behind in the second quarter. Now got two behinds.
Just can't afford to have the ball taken from one end of the ground and be setting up set shots at the other end of the ground so easily.
Leon Cameron has spent a fair bit of time on the bench for Coughlin. Like that Hilton, correction. Caught. And the tackling of Hawthorn has been superb. And this man's been playing in front, Jade Rawlings. Now the ball is coming back.
Well, that's the difference between the two sides at the moment. Really, when you have a look at it, Richmond really struggled to get the ball out of their defensive zone after the kick out, and it was man on man all over the ground, and they were really tagged up, and they never looked likely to get the ball out as Ben Kane takes a free kick.
He's playing his second game. Finds Lekas. The biggest possession winner on the ground, possession number 15. Thompson, big jump. Bottom of the pack that time for the Tigers was Ray Hall. Over the top is Harford.
Well, still some concern for Peter Everett, because he did come off very quickly and he called to come off. So may have sensed something was.
Well, often if you do get a bit of a cracked cheekbone, it does go numb, and that's always a concern and always one of the telltale signs. So he may have felt that. That's why he may have signalled to come off.
Keep an eye on that for Hawthorn fans. He was so important in this game already. Crawford, call out the back was from Smith. We've got numbers. Kane through the centre square. Long ball towards Rawlings. No, it's Thompson. Wants a free kick, gets it. Too big, I think, there. Just had too much mass for Kellaway.
Yeah, certainly too big, too strong, and it's not really an area that Kellaway likes to play as a full-back. He prefers to play up around half-back, be floating back into the pack to be able to win possession of the footy. I didn't think there was a lot in. I reckon Nathan Thompson did a pretty good job of milking as much as what he possibly could out of that one.
So still searching for his first goal for the season, now having returned to the side. This the easiest of his three shots. He's only 30 metres out, almost directly in front. He's got one, he's pretty pleased. And they continue on their merry way, Hawthorn. They've now got 11-6 to 4-3. And they're just holding sway here at the moment, Terry.
Well, they are indeed, and look, they've just been the better side since the opening bounce, and when you have a look at, we just looked at those two kick-ins a minute ago, and just the manner in which the two sides are going about their football. One side's playing without a lot of pressure, and the other side in Hawthorn are really applying the pressure all over the ground. Their tackling and their one-off efforts have been far superior.
Thompson's got enormous ability, Terry. Over the last couple of seasons, he's had a number of problems, of course, with his shoulder and ankle. I can remember seeing him kick 7 goals in the last game out at Waverley, and he looked like he was going to be an absolute superstar, playing at full forward and changing out of the ruck. But really, he has struggled with so many injuries that it's been very disappointing for the Hawks. So if he can get a crack at it with his fitness, he'll have an enormous influence on the game. Brown, we saw last year play a lot on the forward line, even at full forward, but strutting his stuff across half-back today.
He's a nice, tough player. You know, he'll always give you 100%.
45 points the Hawks lead by, down towards the half-forward line. Playing in front was Fleming. In fact, it was Newman. He's had a good season for the Tigers.
Well, Hawthorn supporters ought to be well pleased with what they've seen so far. At the start of the season, I actually selected them 4th, and in the opening rounds, you just wondered where they were going. They haven't really been able to get their best on the ground, but geez, when they're playing football like this, they look formidable too.
And again, around the stoppages, this is where they've been so dangerous, the Hawks. Thompson in front to Rawlings. Comes back, Clark. Quick hands to Dixon, can kick a goal, should kick a goal, does kick a goal.
Tim Clark was pretty good there, Terry. He's involved twice in that contest, once at the stoppage and then ran on.
I tell you now, Tim Clark, if he started in Perth and started running to get the next handball, he'd pick it up in Brisbane. I mean, he's just a super athlete. One of the fittest guys in the AFL, and you just see here how far he's charged to win back his own possession of the football. It was a terrific effort. I'm not quite sure about the final hand pass, whether it was a flick or a handball, but if you run in numbers, your things will just work out your way.
Maybe it's the return of the flick pass, Terry. But a good goal to Ben Dixon, his first. And the Tigers had got something going, but the last 5 minutes has been all Hawthorn. And they're now out to 51 points. This is Pettifer, just laying it back towards Cameron. Hawthorn with the numbers, with the attitude too, as Graham got it to Clark. Rawlings went without it. Gasper leaves it for Tivendale. Pettifer. Just on 4.5 minutes remaining in the first half. Johnson now, standing start to the goal square once again. Choice of 2, Stafford or Richardson. Stafford wants to burst through Coughlin, eventually gives it to him, and Coughlin doesn't let him down. Good work, Coughlin gets his first. Much needed one for the Tigers. And I guess that's what you're looking for. If you're going to play too tall, standing in a goal score like that, have a crummer at ground level.
Yes, and it was Kane Johnson, who's a really honest player. He just keeps presenting himself and working hard all the time. The two big tall boys are just going to stand in the goal square, which KB you called earlier in the quarter, and they look likely to score if they can get the ball down there. They just haven't been able to get it there on a regular basis.
And it was good effort there also by Stafford, because Stafford actually stopped Nick Stone from getting to the contest to punch it away. And that really enabled Richardson to get his hands on the ball, even though he didn't take the mark. It is easily made for the crummer in Coughlin. Kane Johnson inside 50, Richardson trying to feed the ball up, does well to Houlihan. Should have made more of his opportunities. We'll go down to Wayne on the boundary line.
An update on the Peter Everett injury. It looks as though it's a depressed fracture of the cheekbone. So we'll confirm that at half time, but that's the indications at the moment.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised, because it was a nasty knock, and I think Spider knew straight away that something was amiss. And as I say, generally the whole side of your face goes numb for those who've had a broken cheekbone.
Thanks for that, Dr. Bartlett.
Dr. Bartlett.
Well, I've had a broken cheekbone. I know what it feels like. So have you, Terry.
So have I.
It's a weird feeling. There's Spider still with that ice pack on that left side. So a chance for the Tigers. Looks like we may have seen the last of Everett. Such an influential player in this first half. First of all with his ruck work, but also he kicked a great goal as well, and he was just a dominating player.
You just have to go and compare notes with Matthew Richardson.
Yeah, well, it was only 1 week that he missed, and he was back. Here's Stafford. Coughlin again. You've just missed outside of the 50, though. They've worked it nicely, the Hawthorn defence. In the way was Hall. Lekas there. Scrambling play, hard to get a possession. Campbell does, though, and sets up Newman, who goes to the danger spot once again. Richardson over the back. Numbers for Hawthorn. Stone wants the boundary. Gets it. So
this is where players like Cracker have to come right into their own now, because if you're going to set the two big guys up, once the ball hits the deck, they're going to be beaten by players like Smith and Stone at ground level. You've got to have your small players really running onto the cramps.
Roden as well could be important. Crawford with the right. It just falls to Stafford. Oh, they don't come any easier than that. I'm just checking when his birthday is, because that was a gift.
Well, one thing we know for certain is that Richardson and Stafford are not going to get outmarked. So if they don't mark the ball, there's definitely going to be a crumb.
And what's the good thing about it is we've got the ruckman crumbing their own stuff.
Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? And we got Crawford doing the ruck work.
Something's wrong there, isn't it?
It's a funny game, football.
Oh, KB, working beautifully.
The Hawks now being pressurised by the Tigers. There's Stafford. He's kicked his first goal. Nick Stone picking him up. 12-6-78 the Hawks. 6-3-39 the Tigers. So it's a 39-point ball game. Crawford has been very good today. The Vandenberg stands and delivers a high ball back towards centre half forward. He was looking for Rawlings, taken by Tivendale. Chappie, being one of the Tigers' best across half back, this time leaves it behind. A rare error. Pachoni had it, lost it, manhandled. No free kick taken by Campbell, sets it up. The general, the playmaker to Johnson, inside 50, got it! Richardson! Quick hands, he's very unselfish play. He's given it away, and Coughlin has kicked a goal. So it was either unselfish play or he's frightened to have a shot. We'll put it down as being unselfish.
The momentum's definitely just swung back the Tigers' way over the last couple of minutes, and they've been able, been able to kick 3 in a row now. And that's mainly been because they've evened up things in the middle of the ground, starting to get a little bit more run out of that area of the ground. Coughlin's work up forward. He's one of the players. He didn't do the job really early in the piece in the middle of the ground, but he's pushing hard from the centre of the ground, charging forward on occasions now, and has got himself back into the game. That's what you want out of a player. It doesn't always go your way. You've got to remain in the game and just keep pushing at it.
2 goals to Coughlin in this quarter, and the last 3 to Richmond, and the margin now back to just 33 points. At one stage, 51, and under 2 minutes to go. Richmond would love another one, and they may get it, because they've got the out on the full free kick, and it's Kane Pettifer, the Richmond side of centre wing, player back in the middle, and the umpire's called it back. Says he's got to kick over his mark. And a lot of players around the forward 50, so they're trying to leave some space for Richardson to run into. Good setup, Terry.
It was a good setup, but that shows that he's gaining his confidence back as well. He was actually prepared to throw himself at that one, and there were bodies in front of him. And when you're coming back from a cheekbone, all very well doing the wrestling stuff, but to really just charge at the ball is typical.
They've played on. Once again, they've played on, and this time it's Campbell who's on the end of it. And another goal to the Tigers. 4 in a row to Richmond. They're back in the game. 27-point margin.
Well, they've done a good job. We were almost looking at them being out of the game by half-time, the way things were going back about 10 minutes ago, but they've really worked hard to put it around it. You've just got to be careful. When Richardson has the ball, you know that he'll give it off. Players have got to man their direct opponents up, and Richardson's been the key to this turnaround.
Yes, Richardson, such a vital player. 2 unselfish gives, and the Tigers have bounced back. I think 27 points after being 51 points down. We've got a ball game at the MCG. Great conditions, and the Tigers are on the prowl. D-Rod's got it. Roden. Front edge to the centre square. Richardson goes to ground. Roden. Now, there's something behind play. Wayne Campbell has been spoken to, and the ball's coming back to the Hawks.
Vandenberg will get the free kick, and there's a blood rule, so he's immediately told to leave the ground.
Well, that was a real problem for the Tigers. I mean, they had momentum up. A shot that was going to either finish up deep in the goal square or try to find a player one out inside 50, and all of a sudden we have Hawthorn with the ball in the middle of the ground.
And less than a minute to go in this second quarter.
The turnaround's been since Everett's left the field. The Tigers have been able to actually win possession of the ball out of the middle, which they weren't able to do with Everett getting first use of the ball earlier on.
Tigers have kicked 6 goals to 4 in this second term. Loates unloads, looking for Barlow, couldn't take it. Chappie, it's been great. Ball, quick hands, just shovel the ball out. Chance for the Hawks, just 30 metres out from goal. We've got a ball up.
Hawthorn are going to try to open this up as much as what they possibly can and just go for the one last goal. Richmond, if I was them, you'd have everyone back there, even if you've got to really take the ball around the boundary line or just share it.
Time clock ticking away. Just 10 seconds left in this second quarter. So it's a big chance for the Hawks. Reese works his way through the pack. And Newman hits the ball towards the boundary line. And at half-time, it's the Hawks 12-6-78, leading the Tigers 8-3-51, a lead by 27 points.
Yes, a terrific comeback there by the Tigers. They've kicked the last 4 goals. And perhaps the injury to Peter Everett may be the change in this game. And we're going to see a completely different second half as we return back to the MCG after the break here on Fox Footy.
Tonight, St Kilda versus Geelong. It's the Battle of the Bay, with 2 desperate teams looking for a win.
That's a tonic. It feels a lot better.
Saints and Cats tonight.
Don't know the reason why you love me this way. Don't know the reason why you're there every day. But I know when I hold you near, you are the reason I am here.
Simpson is proud to sponsor AFL Auskick because we can't think of a better way for kids and parents to spend their time together. Simpson, time for life.
Spooky. Yeah. It's pretty comfortable to come in and just talk about family.
Well, that's what we like.
The best thing to do when you get caught up.
I'm too scared, yeah. When you listen, that's obviously what you're saying is the key.
Yeah, if only there was more chicks that do the same, hey? They're really serious.
Really, we can see why you're talking. Don't go anywhere. No one agrees with me. No. Rightio.
Living with Footballers, exclusive to Fox Footy Channel.
Second half just about to get underway here at the MCG. Hawthorn by 27 points. Here's their assistant coach, George Stone, with Wayne Schwass.
George, Peter Everett, momentum was going quite well for the side. Peter gets injured, comes off, the momentum changes.
Oh, sure, he's a good player. It's difficult when you lose your best player, but we're still in front and we're going to work real hard at it now. Keep our run up and see if we can nail it this quarter.
Huge opportunity for David Loates to take up that responsibility and give first use of the ball to the midfield, who have been good this afternoon so far.
Oh, David's only a young ruckman, but great experience for him now, and he's got to prove his worth. And if Spider is going to be out for a while, well, maybe he's got the first role and he needs to play well now.
Thanks, George. Good luck in the second half.
Good spot.
Former Richmond coach and legend Kevin Bartlett rejoins us at the microphone. Kevin, a real contest now. What about the Tigers?
Well, I think they'd be pretty happy with the way they finished off in that second quarter. You would say, no doubt, the momentum was with Richmond. Richardson up forward, and also Stafford, Ray Hall in the ruck. The missing Hay, of course, who's pulled out Jonathan Hay. So the Tigers have really got an edge up there on that forward line. And if they can get the ball midfield and pump it down there, you would think the Hawks are going to be in a fair bit of trouble. So I think, again, it's going to be likes of Leckis and Crawford and Tallis, who were very good in that first half. If they can just continue to keep winning the ball, it may just deprive the Tigers of getting quickly down to that man on screen, Matthew Richardson. He's only kicked 1 goal, but he's given 2 away, and he looks a real force.
Well, that'll be the case. It'll be the midfield battle. I think players like Coughlin and Johnson and certainly Wayne Campbell that we see on screen at the moment obviously wasn't too happy with that last decision just before half-time. It'll be those type of players, the midfield matchups, that'll really determine the match. And this guy, Shane Crawford, on screen, he's had a wonderful game again. Him and Leckis have really been the key players out of the middle of the ground for the Hawks.
And that's the young boy, David Loates, that we just heard George Stone talk about. He's only playing, his 8th game of AFL football. So it's a big task because Peter Everett was such a force in that first half before going off with that fractured cheekbone. But it's a wonderful opportunity. And Sam Mitchell, of course, that young boy, 10 best on-ground performances to win the Liston Trophy last year from 11 games. Yep. Still making his way in the game, and he's been handy today.
Yeah, he has. He's put in and performed again, as is most of the Hawthorn midfielders in the first half.
Second half of this round 5 game here on Fox Footy, Hawthorn and Richmond at the MCG. Underway, Lotes. Hall straight down the throat of Johnson. Pettifer wrapped up nicely. No prior opportunity. We'll have a ball up.
Well, you'd think the first couple of goals in this third quarter will be vital. If Richmond are really to mount a real challenge, they need to show the ascendancy early in the match. As for Hawthorn, I mean, if they kick the first couple, they break it out again.
This is Lotes again. Coughlin just wanted to keep it going forward. He did so to Campbell. Up towards Stafford. One-on-one with Stone. Bodywork. Waited for the cavalry to arrive through Osborne, but look at that by Cracker. Got in underneath it first. Got it back out to Stafford. Oh, great work. The goal goes to Stafford, but the great work is Cracker.
Well, we'll have another look at it, but it was wonderful play by Andrew Cracker. He just put his body on the line, threw himself headlong at the football. The pleasing thing from that aspect was then to have the vision really to set up the goal and to set up Stafford, who's done a good job since he's gone down into that forward structure. I think he's been a very, very valuable player down that end of the ground, and Tiger supporters haven't had much to cheer about so far today, but now it's changing around and down to the boundary for Wayne Schwartz.
Another update on Peter Everett's injury. They're not wasting any time. He's already on his way to hospital, so not taking any chances and taking care of the remedies as quickly as they possibly can.
Well, the Tigers have dragged it back to a 21-point ball game. Their biggest comeback ever is 48 points way back in 1982. So maybe an historic effort here by the Tigers today in their 1900th AFL game. As the ball is pumped to the half-forward line, here's a chance for Bateman. Overruns the ball. Richardson now displaying all of his power. Kicks the ball in short. Taken by Pettifer. Back to Bell. They'll share the ball around. Campbell's been very good again today for the Tigers. High ball to the front of the square. Looking for Stafford, the danger man. Pettifer wanted a free kick. He reckons he was held. And I think he may have got the free kick.
He has. Free kick.
Now, Pettifer thought he was being held. Now, Stafford pushing and shoving for the ball. And it is going to actually come back to Stafford.
Yep.
So, two Richmond players there appealing for the free kick. And Stafford, who's booted 2 goals, one in the second quarter and one, of course, at the start of this third term. Now to bring the Tigers back to within 15 points after trailing by 51 points. Early in the game, Stafford from just 15 metres out rams it home.
Well, all the momentum now is with the Tigers, and they've got a real opportunity now to go on with this game. And it'll be a wonderful comeback, considering how far they're behind, and just also the manner in which they're playing the game early in that second quarter.
6 in a row for the Tigers. Well, that was what the free kick was paid for, just holding on there. Stone, as Stafford was trying to break free. Pettifer was also appealing for it, as Kevin mentioned.
Well, they won't allow you to clutch hold of a jumper at all, and that's the one thing. It doesn't matter how little there seems to be in it. If you grab hold of their jumper at all, they're just going to pay a free kick every time, the umpires.
Danny Frawley watching on us. The Tiger Army is now in full voice. Stafford now the leading goal kicker on the ground, the first man to 3. Once again out of the middle, Bowden. Gee, that's confidence, isn't it? Onto his wrong boot. Stafford again coming. Pettifer had to stand in front. Well, that's a good mark to Osborne. Switch of play quickly. Mitchell, the man on the end of it. Can also go short to Barlow, but decides to use his captain, running hard out of his defensive 50. Long ball. There's Barlow there. The other play was Piccioni. Good play by the Tigers. Pettifer. ...80 metres out from goal. Forced to just kick it high. Wants Richardson one-on-one. Floating over the top was Hilton. Ball in. That was Coughlin, in fact.
Well, it gives other players an opportunity to mark now, because what's happening is so much effort's been put into Richardson and Stafford, as we see a very strong bump by Vanderbilt. But so much effort's been put into to counteract Stafford and Richardson. Others can come 3 deep and chance their arm to take marks.
Chance for the Tigers. Stafford in the ruck. Game field for the free kick. Cracker can kick a goal! The Tigers have dragged it back to just 9 points. They've bounced out in this third term. And Stafford has kicked 2 goals. Cracker now has kicked one, and all of a sudden the momentum is with the Tigers.
Well, the big men really have set it up for the Tigers, and we knew there'd be opportunities for the small crumbing players, and I think Danny Frawley, that's why he brought Cracker on the ground in that second quarter, because you knew once you set up your big players down in the forward structure that the ball was going to drop to the ground, and there's not a better player in the competition than Cracker just around the feet to be able to pick up those crumbs.
A mirror image at the moment, the way that the Tigers are getting their goals, in fact 7 in a row. Pettifer, Osborne, working hard, gets support from Mitchell. Crawford went without it, Coughlin didn't. Backs himself to kick a goal, inside 50 for 8 in a row to the Tigers! Oh, yes indeed! Coughlin gets another one, that's his third. Margin 3 points, and they're way on top everywhere, but more importantly, Terry, out of the middle once again.
Well, to say it's a funny game is the understatement of the century. I mean, this has just been a massive turnaround. We saw the stats at half-time where the Tigers have really got well on top and the hard ball gets them and winning the ball at the action, and that's really kept them in good stead in this third quarter. Coughlin's been an excellent player. I thought he was really poor in the first quarter, and just had the presence of mind to hang in the game. He's really turned his form around, and he's been a wonderful player for the Tigers over the first 4 weeks of the season, and now he's become a valuable player in this match.
12-6, 78 the Hawks. The Tigers 12-3, 75. So the Hawks come forward from Tallis inside 50. They need a goal to try and restore some confidence. They look a little bit rattled, the Hawks. The ball up just inside 50, Danny Frawley.
In this situation, you've got to get to the lead and break the side. I've seen a lot of times when teams have actually got themselves in front, but you've got to actually break them and really break their hearts.
Well, the Hawks lead by 38 points at quarter time, 28 points at half-time. They now lead by just 3. Just for the moment as Callaway comes away, penetrating kick, looking for Houlihan. He's got Dixon to beat, needs support. Backtracks, considered, Groundiers looking for Callaway. Dixon's got to be desperate, dives on top of Callaway, and there's a ball up.
Now this is where Hawthorn have got to pick up their game in and around these pack situations. We saw the centre breaks at the moment of 4-1 in Richmond's favour. It's all the pack situations that the Tigers have now got well on top.
It's hard to believe that just one man could cause so many problems for Hawthorn, and that was in fact Peter Everett leaving the field. After being a dominating player with a cracked cheekbone, he's on his way to hospital. Zantuck goes short. Tigers full of confidence, full of running. Hilton's got it. Half-back flank. Does the hippy shake. Gets the ball back. Gives it to Campbell. The general wants to set it up. Cracker on the stretch. Couldn't take it. It was held by Bateman. Danger signs here now for the Hawks. They have never been headed all day as Cracker pumps the ball back towards centre-half forward. In front, Pachoni.
Strong mark looking into the sun. 8 straight for the Tigers. 4 goals to nothing in this quarter. Here's Rawlings on a long lead at centre wing. Up forward, Barlow. 2 goes it, couldn't get it. Callaway, sloppy, bent over it. Lopes jumps into his back. Umpire said that the ladder was the free kick. In fact, he might have got him holding the ball if he wasn't so, I guess, messy with it.
Well, Thompson's gone into the ruck just to try to change it around for the Hawks a little bit. I'm not sure about Lopes as a key forward. He just doesn't sort of seem to play that role so well. He's a better ruckman, but they were losing out of that area.
Coughlin's the target. Crawford front and square. So often he just gets moving straight away. Low ball. Barlow at the back. Crumbing at the front. Lekas. We've seen him kick a couple of good goals from the angle using the banana. Not to be that time. Their first score for the quarter, margin 4 points. He knows that that was an important kick. They just got to get a goal, stop this flow.
Crawford looks like he could be the key to Hawthorn. If he can have a big second half, he may give the Hawks some chance. He's had it 18 times. His counterpart, Wayne Campbell, 23 possessions. Callaway, the juggler, does well from half back. Good kick. It was well weighted. Ball was interfered with, and he'll take the free kick.
The crowd not happy about it, but you just can't run straight at the man, KB. I mean, you've got to give him an opportunity to be able to get a side of the ball.
Gives it across to Bowden, designated kicker. Goes short, it's a poor kick. Finds Harper, playing game number 150 today. Short to Talister, needs some run. Crawford, the danger man from 55 metres out. Getting back was Newman, much underrated player. Young man from Beaconsfield. Short, finds Rogers. Houlihan on a long lead. Pleading for the ball at centre-half back. Pleading. Finally, he gets it. Still inside the defensive 50. Hawthorn players have pushed back. Trying to make a contest. No loose players for the Tigers. So Houlihan is told to play on by the umpire and goes wide. Why not? Go to Richardson. One out with Smith. Timmendale. Good hands to Hall. Tigers now getting the numbers around the contest. Wobbles the ball back. Free kick. Go to the Hawks.
Wasn't much that Hilton could do about that. There was a 2-on-1 contest. He just tried to make a contest of it, but yeah, I think there's no doubt he got into the back.
Vandenberg had to stretch. Richmond getting plenty of players back now, and they may not need them all. Campbell almost stole it. In the end, Thompson now for Hawthorn. Leckus. Played on. Just a high ball. It's a hit in hope, really. Maybe Lotes can help him out. Ball at ground level, half it. Lets it go for Osborne. Trying to get boot to ball. Tivendale, hands and knees. Scooped up nicely by Harford. Mitchell, nowhere to go. Chaffee. Definitive in his play. Gets it all the way to centre wing. Leckus over the top of Pettifer. The spoil successful.
We've got a bit of a stalemate at the moment just here. With most of the Richmond players have pushed back defensively, and we just virtually had a wall at both ends of the ground, so it's just a little bit of toing and froing, almost a bit of kick-to-kick going on.
Well-earned rest for the Richmond skipper, as Kevin mentioned, 23 disposals. Hall, Thompson, got to be quicker than that. Crawford, caught high, free kick.
What a game he's playing, Shane Crawford.
He's lifted, hasn't he, in this third quarter?
Wonderful player. He's the in and under player for the Hawks.
Just goes wide, though, to Leckus. Not sure if that's the best option. Reduces the options now for Hawthorn. He centres it, perhaps a little bit early. Tigers need to break here, but they need to get the ball first as Paccioni just sets it up beautifully for the opposition. Strange kick that, because Kane Johnson was just standing on his own. Richardson led 40 metres for the ball. What about this for a turnover? Richardson needs to just get a bit of depth on the kick for Pettifer. It's not to be. Going in beautifully, Coughlin. That is Mark Coughlin at his best.
That is real courage, KB. I mean, he just threw his body, had absolute disregard for his own safety to go after that football.
I think this young boy here should have kicked the ball off the ground, I reckon. Osborne.
Might have kicked Coughlin's head off, KB.
Well, might have got his boot on the ball first. Not quite certain what the Hawks were doing up here across the half-forward line. That was a monumental turnover. So now a chance for the Tigers. Can they hit the front for the first time today? Thompson, toe poke. Chance, Timmendale, caught, loose ball, Stafford. He's kicked 3 goals, 2 in this third term towards Hilton. Beaten by the line for a toss back in.
Well, momentum's definitely in Richmond's advantage at the moment, as we saw with the disposals just on screen a second ago. They've had all the play at their end of the ground, and they really do look like they're taking control of this football match.
Thompson takes the front position. Paccioni gets support. Hawks out of danger to centre-half forward on the stretch. That time was Gaspar, couldn't take it. Mitchell goes to ground. Gaspar is desperate, caught high. No free kick. They've paid advantage. Bowden in space. Could be dangerous. Just weighing up the options. Backs himself, takes him on. He was caught in 2 minds. Chance for the Hawks. Cross half back. Wow. Thought the umpire was just about to wave the arms.
I thought he was
holding the ball.
I reckon he got him up there ready.
He did an Ahsoka to Silva.
Yeah, I think what happened was he realised that the Richmond player had his hand on the ball and Tallis had no opportunity to get rid of the ball. He was going to call it, there's no doubt.
A chance for Kane, got his hands on the ball. Young man just playing his second game for the Hawks.
Not quite sure what Joel Bowden was on about there just a second ago. He's one of their major kickers in the side. Get the ball in, give it some distance over a line. He doesn't need to be setting them up with handball. He's a kicker.
Yes, and when you've got Richardson playing on Joel Smith, the idea is to get it down as fast as you can. Harford tried to tap on. Was looking for Osborne. Harford, take two. To Thompson. Tumbles the ball forward. Playing in front, Rawlings. Outstanding in the first half. Spears the ball in. Great grab taken by Callaway.
I'm not sure about the Hawthorn forward structure at the moment. Lotes and Sam Mitchell out of the goal square. They just don't look likely to score.
Well, generally what you do is you go through and you put them down for how many goals you think they'll kick. And I don't think Lotes and Sam Mitchell's kicked many goals.
No. Stafford now for the Tigers. Inside 50s. Still heavily in Hawthorn's way. Richmond have been much more productive. That's a good grab. Osborne's done a few good things. Working hard, Osborne. Not his best kick, but it's saved really by Angelo Lekas, who cut that opening. Chip it over the top to Reese, but he decided to go towards Lotes again. Brings it to ground, probably the job he needs to do, so where's his Kramer? Vandenberg with strength towards the goals, but only there is Chappie for the Tigers. They clear now to the outer side to Gasper. Man on is Chippendale. Plenty of space to run into. Crawford trying to close him down, but the Tigers still have it here. Houlihan, open forward line for them. Roden is at the back. Cracker. Fleming now. Into the middle, Campbell. Had his little spell on the bench and he's back out getting it.
And it was courage. He's running against the flight of the ball. Just real courage. Hands off to Leon Cameron.
Designated kick is a designated goal, and the Tigers have hit the front.
Well, haven't I seen that a couple of times with Leon Cameron? The old 1-2 is a good kick whether he uses his left or his right foot. On this occasion, it was a right foot kick, a bit of a wobbly one, but probably would have just tested the distance with Wayne Campbell a little. So give it to the kicker off one step. You know the camera will do the job for him.
Well, this has been a mighty comeback. Could be the biggest in the Tigers' history. They were 51 points down. They've now hit the front. They lead by 2 points. And before this game, a lot of people were suggesting maybe the Tigers' scoreline wasn't that impressive, beating the Bulldogs, Fremantle and St Kilda. So they had some doubters, but they have hit back.
Including us at about 10 minutes into the second quarter, KB.
Yes. Great start by the Hawks.
Well, you stuck with them beautifully, fellas. You've done the right thing.
Quarter.
You always knew.
Well, I did tip the Tigers.
You've been quiet for a while.
So the Hawks come forward through Graham. Tallis. Short. Finds Mitchell. Too far out the score. Into the centre square. To centre half forward. Poor kick. Taken by Fiora. So they've become very ragged, the Hawks. Newman just pops it up. Just chips it to Fiora. Tigers now with all the run through Kane Johnson. Looking for Richardson. Smith did very well. Pounced on by Roden. Runs to 25. Closes to 20. Roden kicks a goal. Tigers by 8 points. Now, can the Hawks pick up the gauntlet? It's been thrown down by the Tigers, and all of a sudden they're on the ropes. They're taking a standing 8 count.
Well, they are indeed. That was a wonderful goal by Roden. What I really liked about his effort was he just kept his balance and his poise. He didn't give up the ball. A lot of players in this circumstance would have kicked it a lot earlier, KB. He ran right in to make sure that he made the absolute most of his opportunity. Big questions are now going to be asked about the Hawthorn Football Club, whether they can stand up. They had this game by the scruff of the neck. They've let it go. They really need to stand up over the next half an hour.
Well, There's Matthew Richardson with his right hamstring pretty tightly strapped. 10 goals in a row to the Tigers. Saw the Swans kick 10 1/4 last night to win the game. Likewise, the Tigers! Johnson gives it to Richardson. Sorry about the strapping. He's on the lead and he's got it. He's going to look for the 11th in a row for Richmond.
And you look back in the centre of the ground and just people just congratulating each other. It's players like Kane Johnson and Campbell, the engine room, Coughlin, players like that have really changed this game around. They've got some ferocious boys in the middle of the ground now, the Tigers, and it's been something that's been missing out of their game for quite some time. This is why you're able to turn these sort of games around. You can't do it with free-flowing players that are outside of the pack players. They've now got some genuine in and unders.
Yes. Richardson, who's just kicked the one, but he has handed off a couple. Been very unselfish. Richardson for 11 in a row. Yes, indeed. He's got 2. The Tigers have 7 for the quarter. Hawthorn have only managed 1 point.
Body language is not good. You just look around the ground at the Hawthorn players and there's a lot of shoulders dropped, heads dropped, and you just can't afford that in this day and age. I mean, we've already seen what the Tigers have been able to do by their turnaround. Hawthorn have got to stay in the game and remain positive if they're going to get anything out of this whatsoever.
Well, there's Richardson. It's an awesome sight in full flight. The Tigers have been answering all their critics in this game. There's been a 41-point turnaround in this third term. What an amazing scene here at the MCG with the Tigers now running in numbers, winning the ball at will. Just big wave of players coming down the ground. Richardson's really limping. I reckon he's gone, Richardson. That right thigh heavily strapped. Maybe that's why he handballed off late in that second quarter on 2 occasions. He didn't have a shot. So it looks like a thigh problem there.
Could be either, couldn't it? Could be a string or a thigh.
So Richardson is off. I don't think we'll see him again today. Certainly we won't see Peter Everett. He's gone to hospital with a fractured cheekbone. But the Tigers lead 15-3. Now, last week they only kicked 5 behinds for the game. Fantastic kicking again by the Tigers. 15-3-93 to the Hawks 12-7-79. Now, in this quarter, the Hawks have kicked 1 point. 1 point, and the Tigers have kicked 7 straight goals.
Well, we'll wait for a report from Wayne Schwass, but you could end up having Richardson taking as long as what Spider Everett does to get back.
And the ball forced over line for a toss back in. Just under 4 minutes left in this third term. And what a third term it's been for the Tigers. Richardson, he's upset, you can see there. He's had so many major injuries, and he's just come back from a broken cheekbone. And it does appear that maybe a thigh or hamstring.
That senses to me, KB, that there's something seriously wrong, that he's actually pulled something. So I'd say it'd be more likely to be a hamstring than a thigh, but we'll find out shortly.
79-93. Scoreboard almost frozen at the Hawthorn end. Stafford. Oh, win again beautifully, and that just, with confidence, kept it alive to Cameron. Here's Coughlin. He's already got 3. Round the body, looking for 4. Goal square. Gee, that's another good mark from Osborne. He could take a grab.
He's a pretty impressive young boy. Yeah. As I say, they gave him the big job playing on Burgoyne when he kicked 5 goals against Port Adelaide. He was one of the few good players for the Hawks from Labrador in Queensland.
Just his 6th game of footy.
That was a terrific mark.
You know what it's like when the ball's up in the air at the goal square. It's tough.
There's a big question mark on the Hawks here, isn't there, Terry, to see just what sort of spirit is in the club, what sort of heart's in the club. It's one thing to come out and get 51 points in front. They're being now absolutely challenged by the Tigers, so there's a big question mark over the spirit of the Hawks. Let's go down to Wayne Schwass.
Matty Richardson's come straight off. The doctors haven't deliberated too long. Ice pack on the side of his right leg, so I'll confirm, but it looks as though he's definitely torn some muscle in the right leg at this stage.
Thanks, Wayne. Keep an eye on that as the Tigers move forward once again. A different-looking forward line without Richardson, but it's got Bowden front and square. To the goal square. Stafford. Was he held? No. Ball at ground level, easily rushed through by Smith, who now, really, Smith has to be used offensively, doesn't he? Hawthorn have got to get the best out of him running.
He's too valuable of a player to be playing in these defensive roles, but realistically, they haven't had much option. They haven't got many other many choices.
flirting with danger on the kick-in. Pachoni just inside the boundary. Up the line to Brown. Through the middle, Dixon, Pachoni, Vandenberg. Promising movement this. Pachoni up for Thompson! He's got it.
Is that Crawford coming off for the Hawks?
Yep.
Check down with Wayne Swass on that.
That looks just to be a spell, I think. You can't do it all day.
Changing boots, I think. He actually was given another pair of boots, so he might be just starting to blister up a little bit.
Terrific mark by Thompson, and this, a very important kick. They haven't kicked the goal in the quarter. He's got one. He needs to bend it a long way if he wants to. It's not to be. Second behind for the quarter.
Yeah, KB, you were touching on the Hawks. This is a vital time for them as a football club. Just what they do in this next sort of half an hour or so, just to show their supporters really where they're at as a team, and as you say, the spirit and the
spotting qualities.
Well, I mean, at half-time they were getting smashed in hard-ball gets, and it's got to come back to bite you somewhere along the line, and we've obviously seen that the Tigers have just been more hungry.
Callaway, a couple of casual bounces, no one going to him. The kick's a poor one. Tigers looking for a lucky bounce. Generally, if you've got enough numbers around the ball, you'll get the lucky bounce. And a free kick to the Tigers. Goes to Hall. Let's go down to Wayne.
Shane Crawford, nothing wrong with him physically. Just changed the shoes, as Terry called, coming back on shortly.
Thanks for that. And there's Cameron finding Houlihan. Got a pretty tough angle. He'll be shooting from right on 50. But the Tigers are hot. When you're hot, you're hot.
Well, I think they've gone past red hot. I think they're white hot at this point in time. This is
not
wonderful.
through luck, but not through luck.
No, absolutely not at all. Sometimes you can get the flow and the momentum of the game going your way, the tap-ons, the outside play, but they've done it through inside football. And I mean, I selected them this week as well, and I was questioning my own selection in the second quarter.
Be honest, Terry, during the second quarter you said they're gone.
I thought they were in trouble, but I've been wrapped in them over the last few weeks because they have become an inside team, and it's something that their Richmond supporters have been waiting for a long time.
Houlihan from right on 50, across the face. Dixon goes up, thumps the ball back over the line.
And realistically, that's what Hawthorn aren't. I mean, the first quarter was done on outside football. It was nice, flary, run-on play. It was tremendous footy, and you've got to do it the way you can. But the inside play is more sustainable, especially when pressure comes on in games.
Inside the last minute of the third quarter, it's a 15-point margin to the Tigers. John Smith to bring it in for the Hawks. Loose player, Dixon. Chip over the top to Pachoni. But it's stop-start footy from Hawthorn. Brown. A lot of possession, and they've finally got it outside from Dixon to Graham. Matthew Richardson, a concern injury-wise for the Tigers, but no concern on the scoreboard. At one stage, trailed by 51 points, the Tigers with their best quarter of the season, and they've kicked 11 goals straight to take control of this match. They lead 12-8-80, or they trail, Hawthorn trail 12-8-80, Richmond 15-5-95.
Today, it's the game the whole of Western Australia has been waiting for. The local derby. Fremantle versus West Coast, live from Subiaco. West Coast had the wood over Fremantle, beating them in their last encounter. But that was pre-season, and not only the rules have changed, but all bets are off.
Bends it back! What a goal!
Who will capture the hearts of the West? Find out when Fremantle clash with West Coast, today live on Fox Footy Extra.
It amazes me how many businesses waste time with stuff like this. You don't have to muck around with phone lines. Telstra ISDN is a proven service that allows you to combine your fax, internet phone or even FPOS lines into one. So you don't have to lose business while you're changing plugs. You don't have to waste time, which is great for small business.
Remember the night Neil, my last time I got reported, Shuri? I walked into it was the last time at Footscray. I think it may have been 94, it may have been 93.
On the Hawkins wing.
Yeah, on the Hawkins wing. I walked in and I said, excuse me, are you busy? He said, that's right. I said, in that case, I'll come back in 2 weeks.
Grumpy Old Men, exclusive to Fox Footy Channel.
Welcome back to D-Rod in action, 1 of 11 in a row to the Tigers. As we take a look at the quarter-by-quarter scores, and they're quite astounding, really. 8-2 goals in the first quarter, 6-4 Richmond's way, and then nothing for the Hawks, and a 7-goal quarter for the Tigers. And they've spread it nicely. Stafford and Coughlin out of the middle and going forward, 3 each. Chaffey, Campbell, Richardson, who is off the ground at the moment injured, as is Everett, Tallis and Lekas. Now the question mark for Hawthorn is where their goals are going to come from. And that's rounding out the goal kickers for both sides. There is that ice pack on Matthew Richardson. Let's find out what's happening in the Tiger camp. Here's Wayne Schwass.
Paul, capitalise on the injury to Spider Everett. Your midfield players finally got going. You must have been pleased with that in the third quarter.
Yeah, it was good, Swatter. Look, we just started to get the ball gets, the hard ball gets, and early on we couldn't get a hold of it, but we just worked into it nicely, showed a bit of resolve. It was good.
Defensively, kept them goalless, another pleasing aspect.
Yeah, look, our defence really tightened up, but, you know, it came from our midfield where they were accountable and we started to win our fair share of the ball, so big last quarter in store.
Thanks, Paul.
Yes, and, well, there's a couple of big men out at the moment in this game. Matthew Primus is out for Port Adelaide, and he'll be joining Jared, Robert and Mike on the couch on Monday night to talk about Showdown 13. And that should be a ripper game. You can see that on Fox Footy tonight. Still 1 quarter to go in this game, gentlemen, and statistically, during that quarter, Terry, you talked about the fact that Richmond got it going in and under.
Yeah, well, if you have a look at the statistics, I think that they've just got on top. You see that they've now turned around the kicks. They're leading the kicks. The thing that I like about this is they've only had the ball, Richmond, inside 50, 31 times to 45 of the Hawks, but they've actually scored 20 times out of the 31 times that they've gone forward. So their efficiency rate in that area is really strong. 39 hard ball gets to 15, and 98 contested possessions to 74 just shows Richmond are winning the ball at work pace and Hawthorn aren't, and really that's been the difference between the two sides.
So the question now for Hawthorn. They had an easy ride earlier in the day. Now they've got to find something. Those statistics also, marks inside 50. They've got to find someone to take a mark up forward. Rawlings could be the key. 15 points to the Tigers. Lotes now in the ruck.
Well, I think in 30 minutes we're going to know a lot about these two football clubs and where they're going this year, and it's big stakes. I mean, every time you go out it's big stakes, but I thought this game in particular was one of those games. It was a real important game, almost an 8-point game for both teams, and it's proved to be that way through the duration of the first 3 quarters.
You never get 4 points, Terry. You never get 8. You don't get double because it's a long weekend. They've now got Dixon up forward.
If I was the Tigers, I wouldn't mind being 2 games clear of the Hawks by the time we walk out of here tonight, all the same.
Well, we know the Tigers have dug deep, haven't they, today? We've yet to see whether the Hawks can do exactly the same thing. So there's a big question mark over the Hawks in this last quarter. When you have a side kick 11 goals straight against you without kicking a goal, there's some serious problems. And you would think at 3-quarter time that the Hawthorn players would be trying to rally themselves, get the first goal this last quarter, try and turn this around. Because the Tigers have been fantastic after being absolutely belted for most of the first half. Pachoni couldn't hit a target. Pettifer floats over the top. Ball up. Still inside the centre square.
So played a free kick out of that.
I think it's because Lotes came in and jumped on top of the pack. Chance for Stafford. He's booted 3 goals. He's been a danger since he's moved forward. Richardson is off the ground for the Tigers with what looks to be maybe a hamstring. And Peter Everett, who was a star in the first half, Got a knock from that man on screen there just a few moments ago. Stafford in a ruck contest. Looked like he must have a cracked cheekbone. He's gone to hospital. And from that point on, the Hawks have absolutely capitulated. Chance now for Crawford, trying to do it all by himself. It's nearly a one-man band. Free kick to Brown. Trying to find some space. Pachoni across half-back. Barlow runs hard, wants to be a target. Got him in his sights. Too much carry on the ball. Now the Tigers full of run. They're getting the numbers across, making it very difficult. Oh, great tackle. Newman goes to ground. Again, the Tigers with numbers went out. Timerdale to Hall from centre wing. Pumps the ball back towards centre half forward. Stafford, 2 against 1. Trying to keep the ball alive. He might be pinged. He's got a ball up.
Well, Hawthorn's forward structure looks a little bit better this time around. They've got Thompson and Dixon as their 2 players inside 50. They're players that are capable of kicking a score if the ball comes down.
Yeah, it looks better than Mitchell and Moats, doesn't it? Chance though for Cracker. So good in that third quarter. Oh, they got 12 in a row. Again, from the stoppages, Richmond have taken control. Cracker gets his second, and it just continues on.
Well, the big man's strength has been the turnaround in this game. It was early in the game. The Hawthorn side were getting an armchair ride from Spider Everett. And really, since that point in time, it's been Stafford that's really controlled those stoppages. Danny Frawley's got exactly out of Andrew Cracker what he asked for. Just a crumbing player with the ability to either kick or set up 2 or 3 goals. And I think that Cracker's given him exactly what the coach has asked for.
2 goals to Andrew Cracker. Had injuries at the start of the season. Always had big raps on him. He does look dangerous at ground level. Pachoni couldn't take it. Ball can. Tigers are an irresistible force. 101 plays 80. Hard to believe.
Just wonder whether you throw Campbell Brown up into the forward line. He's just tough and he gives you something, sometimes a little bit of spark, and that's what they seem to be lacking down that end of the ground.
That's one of their biggest problems, Terry, is they can't get the ball down there, really. I mean, with any sort of flow, I mean, if it gets down there, I mean, it's in dribs and drabs, whereas now the Tigers are just, one handball, long kick, Stafford, a target up forward, Cracker pounces on it.
Yeah, they've had it inside 50 enough for the game, Hawthorn, but, I mean, at the moment, the momentum's certainly with the Tigers.
Pachoni, tied up by Chappie. Campbell's had it 25 times, Kane Johnson 22, Tivendale 15, the leading possession winners for the Tigers, and Crawford 21 with Leckers, and Tallis with 16. And the main goal kickers for the Tigers, 3 to Stafford and 3 to Mark Coughlin. And for the Hawks, Peter Everett had 2 and also Angelo Leckers.
Well, I don't think Danny Frawley would worry too much about that. They paid holding the ball because there's 2 Tiger players fighting for it at the bottom of the pack. I don't think that's such a bad sign.
Clark goes wide, looking for Barlow. Got him again in his sights, couldn't take it. Off hands, quick to recover. Rawlins is also going to be a target, pushed out of the contest by Gaspar. Tivendale, been pretty handy across half-back. But a fair bit of the ball puts it over the line.
I think another player who needs a bit of credit is Darren Gaspar as well, because Rawlins was out of control early in the match, looked like being an absolute match winner, and Gaspar just stuck to his task and just rounded him in as the day's gone on.
Yeah, certainly has, in particular in these second and third quarter. Coughlin broke free, got a high ball towards Graham, and he will just spoil the boundary. 15 and a half minutes remaining. It's been a long time since the last Hawthorn goal.
When was it? I can hardly remember.
It was sometime in March. It was during that second quarter. It's one of those things, Terry, when it finally does happen, I'm sure it will, is almost a sense of relief that they've finally got one.
Yeah, it's been a long while between drinks, and realistically, they haven't looked likely to. As we have a look, 43 minutes since their last goal.
Loates wins the knock, but once again sharked by Coughlin. Richmond, though, through Mitchell to Harper to Graham, trying to set something up now. Need to hit a body, and they do. Crawford. With skill. Long ball, Barlow, beautiful kick. Good lead into the space. Now Thompson wants it. Barlow may fancy himself from just outside 50, though. Not a good kick. It goes off the side. Going back, though, Dick Leckus. Well, Leckus almost marked that. Got a chat to the umpire. We're going to have a ball in. Let's have a look.
I thought Tivendale did a pretty good job. He can't run it straight at the play. He turned his back well.
Here's Dixon. Caught. Ball spills to Rogers. Tigers clear. Rogers will just kick towards the boundary. Lopes has Pettifer approaching. Back in board. Quick hands. Brown is free now for the Hawks. And he's got Leckus this time. Leckus can go short to Clark. No. Angelo Leckus. 2 goals in the first quarter.
Well, if they can nail one, the ball game's still alive. I mean, if we're in any situation apart from the big run of goals that's been kicked for the Tigers, you would say that this is still a really live ball game. So this is an important kick.
To break the drought, right behind Angelo Leckus. It's so important that he kicks it. Just off to the wrong side of the post.
2 goals, 2 to Angelo Leckus. 21 possessions. Tigers by 20 points. They did trail by 51 points. So that's a 71-point turnaround. Campbell against Barlow. Does well. Chris Barlow. Be too far out to score. Thompson says, put it out in front so I can run and jump. Couldn't get there. Harford, 150th game. Can he kick a goal? Missed.
He's just been in close a little bit Harford of late. He's been getting some good possessions and little gives.
Their momentum's just changed a little bit to Hawthorn's advantage at the moment, but when the momentum does swing, you've got to make the most of your opportunities.
Bowden. Newman. Edge of the centre square. Pettifer. To Cracker. To Houlihan. So quick work from the Tigers from the kick out.
Well, it's fast break football, and that's what they couldn't do at all in the first half. We saw Hawthorn taking the ball from one end of the ground to the other and the free-flowing play, and now it's just reversed around completely.
Well, he kicked it behind in the third term, Houlihan. This is very kickable.
You've got to keep them about 3/4 post height, almost where the white meets the red on the goal post is about the level that you should be aiming for, with a bit of breeze down that end of the ground since the grandstand's not there.
So Houlihan from 45 metres leans back, unloads, leaves nothing behind, and hammers home a goal.
Well, it's amazing, isn't it? Last week, 17 goals, 5 against St Kilda. You look on the scoreboard now, the Tigers identical score. It's making the most, isn't it? I mean, it's just wonderful finishing.
Yeah, finishing skills are such a vital part of the game, and especially for your confidence. In this game, if the Tigers hadn't have kicked straight early in the match, they would have been out of the game. I mean, most thought they were out of the game anyway, but it was just enough that every time they did go forward, they were able to score a goal, and it just kept their enthusiasm for the task up at hand, and it makes a difference between winning and losing football matches.
13 straight for the Tigers, margin 25 points. Hall with Lotes. Campbell Brown got it from Crawford. Good work. Going back, Tivendale against the fly of the ball takes a good mark.
Just stops your flow, doesn't it? Hawthorn had a couple of opportunities, couldn't nail them, and then Richmond go down and kick a goal, and just sees a bit of a lull again in the Hawthorn's lineup.
Tivendale eventually gets it back, and he's got some space to run into through the middle of the ground here. It's an open forward line, little chip pass, just the required distance. In fact, probably wasn't. But Kane Johnson has it, regardless.
This bloke's been a good player. I thought since he come back on the ground, he just had a bit of a spell in the second quarter, and come back on late in the second quarter. I thought he was one of the real generators that got them back going.
This will be possession number 23, but he's taken it inside their 457 times.
And I think most of those 23 would have come from about 10 minutes before half-time.
Yeah, he doesn't waste the footy very often. From 55 metres, not bad. Oh, why not make it 14, Kane? 14 in a row to the Tigers, 31-point margin. This is unbelievable.
We might have to go to the record books to find out what's the record for unanswered goals in AFL football. 14 straight goals unanswered. It's remarkable.
Well, I can't remember it, and especially from the circumstances of how far behind they were when the 14-goal run started. Kane Johnson, we mentioned here, but that's a wonderful kick, and it's a kick of a quality player. And Richmond are bearing the rewards for being game to pick him up and giving away a high draft selection to get him across. He's a professional player. He stood up in finals games and grand finals in the past. But an excellent player again today.
Well, according to AFL records, this will be Richmond's biggest comeback win ever. It used to be 48 points against Sydney back in 1982. Pettifer needs a kind bounce. Just feigned the handball. Can't bend it back. It's a wild kick in the end and through for a behind. So 48 points was the biggest comeback for the Tigers in 1982. They were 51 points down in this first half of football, and now they lead by 31 points. So it's one of the most extraordinary comebacks we've seen. This is the Tigers' 1900th game, I should say, 1900th game in AFL football today.
And on the flip side, I've seen more Hawthorn people leaving the ground already than I've ever seen before.
So a couple of milestones for the Tigers. Vandenberg has to be quick, slow to react. Kane Johnson pumps the ball back towards 50. Beaten by the boundary line as Hawthorn supporters. Who would have thought they would have been leaving during that first half?
Gee, they would have been banking on a celebratory afternoon, just standing back and soaking it up.
They're off.
Not to be.
Elvis has left the building.
I didn't know Elvis was great for Hawthorn KB, but thanks for that. Here's the D-Rod. Slips it to Bowden. Bowden right across the face. Just sneaks in for a point.
Almost disappointing, isn't it?
Oh, it's almost a letdown. Danny Frawley. Well, he kept his cool. The players did likewise. Still plenty of time left in the game.
It's got to take a lot of credit, Danny Frawley. He was under enormous pressure after the first round loss, and more pressure than what he ought to have been under, I might say, but a lot of credit's got to go there.
Graham goes without it. Crawford still trying hard for his team. Back to Graham. On the left boot, Dixon's in front. Gets back quickly. Loose players in the middle, but going with a longer option. Newman goes back. Thompson does well. And there's a free kick for Thompson. It's got to come back.
KB,
52 minutes.
I hope some of the Tiger supporters remember this day, because they're very, very quick to jump on the other side of things and have a go at Danny Frawley when things are not going so well. Just I hope that they actually recall what's gone on over the last few weeks, in particular today.
Thompson from outside 50 looks to break the drought. He does, at last. Second goal to Nathan Thompson. And after 14 straight, the Hawks get one, and they get the margin back to 27 points.
Well, just for the Hawthorn at the moment, it's really more so now about just keeping their spirit up and keeping it alive in this last part of the game. And, you know, if they get on a roll, well, you just never know. This game has ebbed and flowed quite regularly throughout the ball game, but it really is trying to get some spirit back into your side.
It's like Houlihan has hurt himself there in that tackle on Vandenberg. He's still on the ground. 18-7, 115 the Tigers, 13-10, 88 the Hawks. Tigers by 27 points. Chaffee been very good today for the Tigers. Kicked a couple of early goals, kept them in the game. Zantuck did a 360 to the half-forward line. Stafford is going to be the target. Stone goes to ground. Will take the free kick. copped a knee in the head. So that's two players that Stafford's put out of action. One was Spider with an accidental forearm or elbow to the cheekbone. And now Nick Stone looks very, very groggy. And that come from a knee to the head.
Yeah, the big fella is all arms and legs.
Dixon to Barlow, who's been the go-to man in the second half. But coming across is Tivendale. Boy, what a game he's played.
I think from Wade Schwartz, I don't think Stone has much of an idea where he is at this point in time.
Dan Tuck from centre wing. Just over 8.5 minutes left in this final term. And Stafford claims the mark, but it's out on the full.
$1.15 to 88 is Campbell Brown. And that's the best option. Just mix it up a bit. Take some chances. Rawlings. Open player is Dixon. Should move it. Backpedaled and he didn't have to. Now to Brown.
It's when your confidence is shot. They're just not running and flowing with the ball now at all.
Dixon again. Long ball. They got a chance here. Barlow at the back. No crummers there for the Hawks. Bowden caught. Gives it up to Clark. Quick give. Pachoni off one step. Centering ball. Might fall for Houlihan though. Oh, good skills. He played on though. A chance for Hawthorn. Vandenberg. There's a whistle. It's a Hawthorn free kick going to Crawford. Could prove a pivotal error. Another goal here to Hawthorn. It's back within 4 kicks.
Well, the free kick was definitely there. I would like to have another look at... here we go. A little chip pass across.
Mark Graham. Goal. 2 in a row to Hawthorn. Want to see it again, is you're right, Terry, but maybe that might spark them.
It was a bad decision by Houlihan if he did step off the mark, and I'd like to see whether that was the case or not, but it was a lovely mark. He took a wonderful mark and then gave it away, and it's allowed Hawthorn back into the game. Crawford put his head over the ball, as he always does, and deserved his free kick.
Could we possibly say the floodgates are opened up for Hawthorn? Kicking the last 2 goals after having 14 unanswered goals. Let's go down to Wayne Swass.
And Nick Stone is talking. He's responding well to the doctors. I don't think he'll take any part. Just in that last piece of play, Ty Zantuck took a heavy knock to the stomach. He's come off, seems to be winded, but seems to be okay now.
If he is talking Mandarin, he can speak it, Wayne. Tied up. You might recall, remember when they were... he came into the side last year, Nick Stone, he was going to broadcast on Chinese radio.
Oh, that's right, yes.
Because he can speak Mandarin.
I was wondering where you were going with that. I thought you were on about fruit or something.
No, he came into the side, but he does look sick and sorry there, that young man.
You had me beaten, KB.
So the Hawks crunched to the ground, Bowden, strong tackle. The ball up still inside the centre square, and that's Sam Mitchell. So he's been hurt.
Well, they've made a fairly strong statement today, the Tigers.
That's a crunch, isn't it? 115 plays, 94, 21-point ball game. The Hawks just trying to make something out of nothing. Can they come forward? There's still time, just under 7 minutes left. Leckers pumps the ball deep, inside 50, Harford. Dixon. Bit of magic. Crossed the face of goal. And through for a behind. Back to 20 points. They couldn't get up, could they?
Well, I've seen Hawthorn do it a couple of times in the last couple of seasons, haven't they? Where they've just been all one-sided, and then all of a sudden, against Melbourne earlier in the year, they kicked 6 quick goals in the final term. Made a game of it.
They've certainly been better in the last 5 or 10 minutes, but it'd be a big ask for now.
It is a big ask, but you never know. As you've mentioned already today, Terry, footy's a funny game. Kellaway, Stafford, here's Johnson trying to put pay to that theory. High ball to the 50. Coughlin almost grabbed it. Crack over Crawford. Back to help out Rawlings. Under the pump from Fleming. He tackles hard and strong, does Fleming. Ball in. 6 minutes remaining.
As we just have a look at the tackle from Fleming, yeah, he did enough. I thought it was only really Rawlings falling into the ground at the end. Just pushed his own body and pushed himself forward in the thrust.
Boundary throw in. Hall and Lotes. Almost musical. A repeat performance. Another track.
This will suit the Tigers. wear out a bit of time, and it's in their forward end. If they can open up one here, they've done pretty well out of these ruck drills around these situations since half-time.
So the replay. Coghlan lets it go for Johnson. Over the top to Roden. Just trying to paddle it forward. Crawford, once again, needs a man in front. He got it to Pachoni. Couple players in the middle for Hawthorn. Rees gives it to Lekas. They're running hard now, but he's missed the target. They were on there. Zantuck, and the turnover could prove costly. Johnson now sets it up to Coghlan, just outside the 50. And oh, what could have been. Outside his distance, he's already kicked 3 for the day, Coghlan. He's had 16 possessions.
Both sides
tackles, sorry Terry.
That's just both sides lacking a key position player to go to at the moment.
And that's out on the full.
He really had no one to go to at all. With Richardson out of there and Stafford wasn't down in the forward structure either, there was just no tools to go to. He really had no option but just to blast it in.
Tigers by 20 points. Lekas, one of the Hawks' best today. Rawlings started off so well at centre-half forward. It really was a focal point. Taken 9 marks. Stumps the ball back outside of 50, and Campbell stands his ground, takes a good grab. Possession number 26, only Kane Johnson's had more for the Tigers, 27. Game number 252, the 9th best effort ever for the Tigers, moving past Kevin Sheedy today on 251. In short, Lekas will take the 3.
A couple of courageous marks in a row there. Little chip pass over the top to Bateman. Wide to centre wing. It's not a bad grab to Thompson. He's a long way from home. Only Dixon inside the forward 50 for Hawthorn. In fact, he's run out of it. And he's the target, but going back Chappie. To help out Gaspar, we have a ball in once again.
It's too stationary, the football. Just stop-start along the lines, kicking over a line. You've got to get the ball into the middle of the ground and get a little bit of more run and flow and creativity into the game. That's where they were good early. They were running and using their hands.
Chance here for Coghlan. On the up to Campbell. Good vision out the back to Newman, but he's run down by Harford. Spills to Baccioni. Hawthorn have to do everything right from here. That wasn't it. Rees. That wasn't it either. Not the best kick from Coghlan.
Wayne Campbell still doing the 1%ers. It was a lovely smother. Hawthorn, we're going to get a goal opportunity out of that until Campbell smother.
Gone back to Lotes. Now, there's every chance to just bang it along, looking for a big grab from Thompson, but that should suit the Tigers. That's a poor kick. Campbell chips in the way once again, and he wants to switch a play, and he gets it from Chaffee towards Fleming. Kane arrives. 2 youngsters together, or 2 inexperienced AFL players together. Fleming's got a bit more age on him than Kane at 25 and Kane at 20, but just 5 games between them.
Boundary throwing just 35 metres around from the Hawks' goal. Lotes doing the ruck work. Harford had it, lost it. Coghlan's been very good today for the Tigers as well. Dumped by Mitchell. 3 goals today to Greg Stafford, 3 to Mark Coghlan, 2 to Andrew Cracker, 2 to Richardson, who's left the field with what appears to be maybe a hamstring, 2 to Campbell and 2 to Chaffee. And for the Hawks, 2 goals to Peter Everett and Raiden Tallis, and 2 to Nathan Thompson and Angelo Lekas, main goal kickers. In what's been a red-letter day for the Tigers, after being down by 51 points, they've shown tremendous fight and spirit today, and heart, and this could be just such a huge game in the sight for the Tigers in becoming a top side in 2003. This will be 4 on the trot after losing the opening game to Collingwood.
Well, it's set up their season, KB. At 4-1, you ought to have a good year. Whether you turn that into a great year is another thing. And the next month we'll know that. But from 4-1, you should have a good year.
Stafford Ball over the line.
The concern for the Tigers is going to be with Ottens already out now, Richardson out of their lineup. Even in the latter part of this game, since Richardson hasn't been there, goals haven't been as easy to come by as what they were in that earlier piece. Just the extent of his injury is going to be a key to them.
Still going though, Hawthorn. Leckers got it from Vandenberg, but there was a wall of Tigers swamped him.
Likewise for the Hawks, I mean, they get one player back into their lineup, and then all of a sudden they lose Spider Everett. So Nathan Thompson comes back in, and Spider, it's an even draw.
Timondale with some real penetration on that kick. Smith over the back, Jade Rawlings. Hawthorn switch to the wing. Pachoni presents inside the last 2 minutes of the game. Plenty of Hawks here though. Crawford will not stop. Barlow let it go for the invisible man. Newman chips in, takes the mark. Tivendale slowing it down now, the Tigers. They know the game's in their keeping. And bit of possession footy. Well, Fleming wants to get in on the act. Up towards Hilton. Spoil from Vandenberg. Rawlings needs a good bounce, doesn't get it. Still going, the two number 20s battle. Oh, this could probably call the Tigers' way. Rogers gives it over to Fleming. He drives it in forward. Bateman paddles it out. Smith helps him out. And he's still going backwards. The Hawks clear outside their 50.
And Smith finds Harford, who drops a sitter. Wild handball, didn't hit a target. He was looking for Clark. Again, they'll need support from Reese to Harford, the veteran. Goes short and finds Lotes. Well, the Tigers play Port Adelaide and the Bombers in the next 2 weeks. If Richardson's unable to play, that will be a blow. Newman to Campbell. But as long as you've got plenty of spirit and fight as they're shown today, you can overcome the loss of players. You want to persist, have faith in each other. Johnson, the run will come. Fleming's going to run hard to the contest. Hands and knees was Hilton. Wasn't paid. Vandenberg backtracks, concedes ground, finally lands in the arms of Reese for the siren sound. And what a great day for the Tigers. It's been a fantastic performance. They've come from 51 points down, and they have defeated Hawthorn 18-7, 115. They've won by 20 points, 14-11, 95 the Hawks.
Tonight on Fox Footy, the Lions and the Dogs let loose. But can anyone put the bite on the Brisbane Brigade? Think about it. Lethal's Lions take on the Bulldogs tonight on Fox Footy Extra.
One-word response to each of the four coaches you've had at Moorabbin. Stand-out, influence, Tim Watson, Junior Idle, Malcolm Blythe, gone, Grant Thomas, positive. Ozzy Jones, thank you.
White Line Fever, live weeknights on Fox Footy Channel.
Heaps of emotion in the room, as you can see, and this will be a very, very exciting song.
The 2003 AFL Premiership season is brought to you by Harvey Norman, Telstra, and the 1.8-litre Nissan Pulsar.
Tonight, St Kilda versus Geelong. It's the Battle of the Bay, with two desperate teams looking for a win.
That's a tonic. He feels a lot better.
Saints and Cats, tonight.
Your team line up first.
Mike Sheehan, Russell Green, and John Barnes looking splendid in green tonight.
I don't know, Hunter. You was hanging it on me.
Fair dinkum.
Yeah, fair dinkum, Mike. You just can't sit back and just let them run over the top.
No,
you've got to fly the flag, mate.
Sometimes you're in a situation where you've just got to do things.
We did some stupid, dumb things, and we're not going to do it this week.
John Barnes working beautifully.
Oh, will you tell us the truth then, Hunter? There's something going on.
Well, I just asked. They changed their mind.
You might be a librarian like these blokes. Unbelievable, you blokes.
Fox League teams, live Thursday nights, 8:30.
Hi, I'm Mark Bickley from the Adelaide Crows, and you're watching Fox Footy Channel.
The 2003 AFL Premiership season is brought to you by Harvey Norman, Telstra, and the 1.8-litre Nissan Pulsar.
Welcome to the replay of the Kangaroos versus Carlton from Telstra Dome. Round 5 action right here on Fox Footy.
Did Denis Pagan ever see this day coming? The day when the team he loved, the team with which he shared so much, would stand before him the enemy. See it or not, such a day has arrived. Emboldened by his successor, the Roos are up and about. Smashed by Port, Pagan's Blues go down and out. There's only one way up for Carlton, and that's over the body of Pagan's past pupils. He could never have envisaged such a thing, but right now, it's the only thing on his mind.
Good evening and welcome to Saturday night football at the Telstra Dome. Well, of all the keenly awaited matchups of 2003, this has to be one of the biggest. All week they've been calling it D-Day as Denis Pagan and Dean Laidley draw their coaching sabres against each other under the dome. Pagan, the longest-serving coach in the history of the Kangaroos, up against the Masters apprentice. They're playing it down for all they're worth. Stephen Silvani, welcome to you. Good evening. Are coaches so impervious to it all that they can just deny the significance of all of this?
Oh, I don't think so. Certainly, much has been said about the two teams throughout the week, but I have no doubt that both these coaches would have a few extra nerves. Denis Pagan up against his former side where he had so much success. Dean Laidley up against his former coach, and wouldn't he love to win against his former coach in Denis Pagan?
Kangaroos with just 7 left from the team that beat you in the 1999 Grand Final.
Yes, certainly turn their players over, but the 7 remaining are very much high-quality players and really do lead from the front from the Kangaroos.
Here's the first-year coach, Dean Laidley, with Christy Malthouse.
Well, Dean, Glenn Archer back, a huge boost. How effective can he be without full use of his hand?
Oh, look, I think he can. You know, Hickmott's one of their main goal scorers, and we can sort of quell him tonight. I think that goes a long way for us getting the 4 points.
Archer said yesterday that the players feel perhaps just a little more pressure to perform playing against their former coach. Does it change anything for you?
Oh, no, look, it doesn't. I think, you know, maybe the pressure's on the other foot. You know, I know what your dad was like when he played West Coast, and, you You know, it certainly changes a lot of things, but, you know, the boys are fired up, ready to play, and that's all we can ask for.
They probably know his game plan inside out, but you'd expect Pagan to throw up a few surprises tonight?
Oh, look, absolutely. You know, it'll be here, there and everywhere tonight, and we fully expect that. We've been through it with the boys, and, you know, I think they should be a full book on it.
They've got McKernan back, so he may be a little underdone. Are you tempted to rotate a little more in the ruck just to really test him?
Oh, well, look, that's why we brought in another ruckman, David Hale, for his first game, because we really thought that he needed that opportunity, and Ports needed some support, which would be good.
Okay, thanks, good luck.
Dean Laidley sounding relaxed enough. Let's have a look at the teams now. The Kangaroos front half without Rocker, a late withdrawal, replaced by Shannon Motlop, but Martin out for Carlton. Prendergast comes in.
He does, and he'll be opposed to Brown, but just have a look at that full forward line. Harding, Brown and Rawlings, plenty of speed and height. They'll be opposed to McKay, Prendergast, and we also see on this half forward line Jones, Petrie and Morrell. Lappin, who's been in very good form, so is Thornton, but have a look at this matchup. I think it'll be a key one. Morrell against Beaumont. Beaumont needs to stand up tonight. Morrell is leading their contested marks of the Kangaroos, and he's such an important player for them.
Kangaroo midfield in form, Simpson on fire.
Yes, plenty of experience there, Harvey, Simpson and Sinclair, but also with Carlton Hume, who's an in and under play, Kutafides and also Murphy.
And the Blues needing Whitnell and Favola to stand up tonight.
No doubt, and they're opposed to King, Colbert, Archer, plenty of experience there, but Whitnell will have the support of Houlihan and Davies next to him. And we just see the full back line for the Kangaroos. Makepeace, who provides so much drive for the Kangaroos. Watt and Baird. Hickmott, Favola, who's a goal kicker at the moment, and Young Waite showing plenty of good signs. And with Porter up against his old side, alongside McKernan as well, and shouldn't that be a fantastic contest? But Grant and Spawn. Spawn has done the go-with role for the Blues over the last couple of weeks. Grant in very good form, 3 goals last week, and Spawn will need to mind him closely.
Interchange at the first bounce to 2 Motlops, along with Clayton and Hale for the Kangaroos. For Carlton, French leaving McKernan carrying the ruck, Fisher, Wiggins and the youngster McCormick. The Blues against the Kangaroos, and Carlton making their entrance. Corey McKernan back in the lineup, but Carlton relying so much these days on youth.
Well, they have, and they have got a very young back line, and I mean, those players need to stand up for him tonight, along with the experience with McKay there also.
And the fact that they do rely so much on youth might be responsible for those figures.
Well, just have a look at this. They've given away 22 free kicks in their defensive 50. That's the worst in the competition, but even to make things worse, 12 of those have resulted in goals, so a pretty poor result there for the Blues.
A pity Mick Martin's out. There are many dimensions to tonight's match, not the least Corey McKernan. The first 182 games of his career played for the Kangaroos, now has a Carlton best and fairest to his credit, and returns from injury for tonight's big match.
Better when you're on the backside of the limb, and then you know that's the thing about need to know. Even the money to ring, yeah, you'll have to know. Have you been to your garden lately? Will Jesus Christ is nowhere to be seen, for he is not nothing made.
Tonight on Fox Footy, the Lions and the Dogs let loose. But can anyone put the bite on the Brisbane Brigade? Think about it. Lethal's Lions take on the Bulldogs tonight on Fox Footy Extra.
I didn't have a job as such previous to joining the name, and I went straight from school to the academy. The RV Franklin rescue on board Anzac was about the first real incident that we'd done. Between 3 or 4 of us driving the ship, we got the ship out there and then come back as quick as we could. He was pretty lucky, and the seas were pretty big, and I mean, it makes you feel good because you did the job properly and it was effective.
Don't know the reason why you love me this way.
Don't know the reason why you're there every day.
But I know when I hold you near, you are the reason I
as an officer. I'm earning good money, and so I'm still very much in training. I can't think of too many other jobs where I could still be at such a junior level of training and to earn the wage I'm earning.
Hi, I'm Dermot Brereton. In the many years I've played football, I've been injured, disappointed, abused, vilified and criticised. I'd go through it all again to be on Living with Footballers one more time.
Like a minute.
Living with Footballers, exclusive to Fox Footy Channel.
It's been a beautiful day in Melbourne, a glorious autumn night. They're playing under the roof at the Dome. I'm sure that won't diminish what should be a great occasion. Michael Christian, good evening. A lot to look forward to here.
Yes, certainly, Tim, and I think the Blues a big chance tonight. The Kangaroos coming off the big road trip from Perth, and we saw what happened to Collingwood on Anzac Day, so it should be a pretty good game. And of course, Mick Martin, what a pity he's not playing, because he would have loved to have lined up against his old team.
Oh, no doubt, a late withdrawal, and we just see Glenn Archer there playing his first game of the season. That left hand there, well, it looks like he's got the glove on it, but a little bit of bandage underneath that glove for Glenn Archer.
Let's go down to Christy Malthouse and check the conditions at ground level. Christy, good evening.
Thanks, Tim. Well, before we go to the conditions, I just want to quickly say something about the chairman's address, which was just over an hour before the game, where Dr. Alan Alex made a plea to all Kangaroos supporters to become members. He's worried at their lack of numbers, and on Monday, 100 people from the club, including coaches and players, will ring all members who are yet to renew and get them to sign on and become members. You can hear this crowd roaring, and I'm sure it's these people who he wants to get to sign up to become members. Quickly to conditions, very warm, very humid here at ground level.
Well, all is in readiness. Corey McKernan against his old side, playing under his old coach. He's been missing through injury, and a chance now to get the Blues underway. Good crowd in at Telstra Dome. The opening bounce, McKernan. Neither ruckman can touch it. Chance for Beaumont. Camporelli now. Good tackle coming from Jones. At half forward, free kick. Yes, there will be. And it'll go Carlton's way and taken by Beaumont.
Well, you'd expect the first 5 to 10 minutes of this game to be pretty fierce. Both these teams had plenty to play for.
Goes long in towards half forward. Sinclair, spectacular fly. Don't know whether his coach would have been quite as impressed. Lappin had an air swing. Watt squeezing out the hand pass. Good shepherd laid on for Vola. Stevens, Sinclair, Rawlings and Sinclair again as the Kangaroos build up, and that's a good delivery to Morrell, and young Thornton has been given another stiff task.
Morrell high towards half forward. Coming out, Petrie will drop the mark he should have taken. Free kick meantime, Kangaroos way. Now coming back to David King. As we watch it again, and there's being held by Murphy. So David King, who had a pretty good game against the Dockers last week, 19 possessions, kicked a goal. Of course, two-time All-Australian from 50 metres, thumping kick. The goal umpire doesn't move. The Kangaroos on the board at Telstra Dome. Well, a great start for the Kangaroos, Steve.
It is. Just the start they wanted. David King, we know what a lovely kick he is, but this free kick here, yet another free kick that Carlton have given away in their defensive 50. We see Murphy there just get their hand around David King's shoulder, and we said it early on in our preview that that is something Carlton need to watch.
First blood to King and the Roos. There's plenty of feeling in this. The Kangaroos lead by a goal in the early minutes. Murphy given a defensive job on David King, who has made the first incision. Koutafidis, well tackled. Porter and Jones for the Kangaroos, who are monopolising the footy early. Simpson's had 100 and more possessions already in 4 games this year. Petrie sweeping to Jones, loading from 45. That's a poor kick, disappointing result. And even King couldn't produce one of his legendary soccer kicks at that. but the Kangaroos have it where they want it. Interesting sauce to note, Livingston's down in the front half for Carlton.
Yes, he's played most of his footy down back, but Denis Pagan tonight, he can play as a forward, and he's opted to go with him up forward.
Brown, well taken by McKay. Good tackle coming from Stevens. It's wrapped up, bounce.
And just getting back to that first goal by David King, it did result from a free kick from Carlton's defence. They have given away a number of free kicks in their defensive 50, and something that Denis Pagan has no doubt addressed the players throughout the week.
Petrie again, Kurtafidis. Oh, he gives it straight up to Harvey, who runs in from 15 metres and kicks another one for the Kangaroos.
Well, two mistakes really by the Blues have resulted in 2 early goals to the Kangaroos. We just see Kurtafidis on screen. They're under pressure. Well, he's copped that ball up, and who was there? Harvey, a player that you need to be very tight on, and doesn't he read the ball very well, Harvey, and he's kicked his first of the game.
Flying start to the Roos provided by the engine room, and Denis Pagan with a different view of life right now. Used to enjoy those. The umpires, Darren Morris, Mark McKenzie and Dean Margetts. Porter and McKernan. Hume with the sleeves tonight. Not easy for Carlton to make the takeaway. Last time Kurtafidis was held up, this time Beaumont, and that was Jones applying a stiff tackle, and the Kangaroos, as they usually do, have come to play. Umpire Margetts with a perfect bounce. Petrie doing pretty well early. Camporelli has a go. Still no takeaway for Carlton. Now there is. McKernan. Touch ball called, I think. Or is it coming back? It's a Kangaroos free kick. Saw a signal from the umpire.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was in the Carlton forward half. Someone did give away the free kicks.
Kangaroos loading again. Here's Harvey, who kicked the last goal. That was a hopeful hand pass. Jones and Sinclair. Good smothering by the Blues now, but Houlihan wrapped up, nowhere to go. It's on the Kangaroos half-forward line, they're pressing again.
And there's the throw against Lappin. And a Carlton...
And that free kick resulted in, I think it was young Harding for the Kangaroos against McKay. A couple of undisciplined acts coming out at the moment.
Loose player on the wing. Taken by Wade. He's got plenty of space and plenty of time, Jarway. Pravola dropping back. He tries to take Archer on and beats him. Kicks to the top of the goal square. Mark required at the back, almost Whitnell. Well played by the Kangaroo defence. Grant, great handle under pressure to Simpson and out of Makepeace, and the Kangaroos away.
They are running it well. That's 4. Fine little player. Disposal not so good. Camporelli in the way. Carlton just starting to impose themselves. Lappin, mighty attempt. Very brave attempt. Fierce stuff here. Wade featuring again. Murphy's got it. Dangerous from there. He has just squeezed it home for Carlton's first. So the Blues are on the board. They trail by a goal, but after a slow start, getting into it, high-flying attempt from Lappin was fearless.
It was, and, well, Justin Murphy playing in the back line at the moment. Well, he dragged David King up the ground, and he's kicked this from the back line, Murphy, and that was a nice settler for the Blues.
Margin 6 points in favour of the Kangaroos. Much needed goal to the Blues just to get them on the scoreboard. Porter, chance for Brown crashing up from half-back. Now the Blues in number. Hume got it to Camporelli. He's at half-forward. Great tackle from Makepeace. Spill now comes to Rawlings. Couple of loose players in the centre. Simpson. Run provided by Jones. Can he use the football this time? Raking kick to the goal square. King's mark. He wanted to play on. He's been told to play on. What can he muster from here? Not much. Ripped out of his arms by Murphy. Spawn. And now Thornton and the Blues out of trouble temporarily.
They're lucky. King was stiff, surely. Lappin, if you've taken a mark, golly. Beaumont. Carlton dangerous now. Still 60 out. Can't kick that distance. Whitnell's there. Fabola's there. They each had a share. Neither had the Lions' share. And it's a behind. Let's have a look at it. Let's just see what he did. It was like Rayleigh Boyle on the starting blocks in Montreal.
He took a couple of little steps, didn't he? Play goes on. Blues have the numbers on the City half. Forward line for Carlton. Waits. He's got plenty of time. He settles. Lines up from 49. Kicks across the face. Should have done better. They had a couple of players there. The bowler was with him. In fact, it's a mark for the Kangaroos. Watt deep in his own defensive zone. 5 points for margin. Kangaroos, great start to the match. Kicked a couple of goals. Perhaps should have had a third just moments ago. Rawlings. And Sinclair used him. Wasn't really ready for it. Grant. Still inside defensive 50. Shannon Grant. 22 possessions last week against the Dockers. Kick towards Simpson. Well, handball. That was more in hope than anything. Camporelli drills the pass in short. Livingston spilled it. Should have taken that. Allows the Kangaroos in. Sinclair hoists it high toward the wing. Simpson in front again. Almost. Couldn't quite control it. Now a chance for the Blues. Thornton. Morrell. Fumble. Now Harding. Now the Kangaroos away.
A lot of errors in there. Simpson again. Huge possession earner for the Kangaroos. Week in, week out. Nothing on the end of that. But you never know. Harvey. Now King again.
Free kick.
A free kick to Harvey. And you could just about write this in your record.
Yes, and we talk about Murphy. Murphy gave away the first free kick of the game to David Kim, who kicked the goal. And once again here, we just see an undisciplined act, really. I mean, he should have done better than that. And it may result in the Kangaroos' third goal, but an area where Carlton, we said in the preview that Carlton have given away 22 free kicks in their defensive 50. 12 have resulted in goals, and it looks like 2 early in this game could result in goals.
Total disposals at the moment 35 to 16 the Kangaroos' way. I know Denis Pagan plays an economical low disposal game, but Carlton's count well down. Harvey for his second puts the Kangaroos 11 points up.
Well, a pretty good goal by the Kangaroos. There was a big fight on centre wing, wasn't there, Steve? But they just persisted and eventually were able to get it forward into that dangerous position about 20 metres out from goal. And as we look at Adam Simpson, he's the one that delivered it to the hot spot. And again, the free kick, this time against Murphy, as we watch it, just taking Harvey a little high, and a good finish from Brent Harvey.
And Murphy straight off the ground, giving away 2 free kicks, both resulting in goals.
Wiggins on for the Blues. Simpson again, 6 disposals already to Rawlings. King leading Lappin, who has the job now on the ever-dangerous King. Finally, the entire yellow Sherrin crosses the line.
Just a couple of matchups in the Kangaroos forward line. McKay's gone to Harding, Lappin has gone to King, Thornton has got the job on Morrell, and Davies is doing a run with Joel on Harvey.
McKernan and Petrie. Stevens in the midst of it as ever. Petrie. Camporelli now for Carlton. Spawn. And the Blues make the takeaway. This is Davies. Whitnell arrives third in line. Like Livingston earlier. Got his hands onto it. Didn't finish it off. And previously the rebound saw the Kangaroos kick a goal.
Harvey towards half forward. Chance now, Shannon Grant, which way will he go? Decides to handle. Petrie, couple of steps, steadies himself. And misses. Golden opportunity for the Kangaroos. Behind only.
Well, twice now the Blues have dropped marks really around their inside their 50 forward line and been very lucky that they haven't resulted in goals.
Camporelli plays on, delivers to Hume. Loose player on the wing, Houlihan, finger-tipper, he's away. Normally uses the ball very well. Houlihan kicks towards Favola, who's got the sit. Well played by Watt, just shepherded Favola away from the ball, allowing Colbert to take the mark. Baird looking for Morrell. Now Fisher's got a real task here, does very well. Numbers with the Blues. Hume back to Fisher. Kick towards the centre, just had too much carry from McKernan. Wiggins made it look good. Well played by Fisher. He follows up. Now can he use it? Kick inside, attacking 50. Favola! He's got it. Brendan Favola. And hasn't he stamped himself on season 2003?
And we just see there young Fisher, who's just come onto the ground. He's done two very good acts. He came on and got the sport, brought the ball to ground, but more importantly, he followed up and was able to get that ball across to Favola, who took a lovely mark.
It's a move Denis Pagan would have enjoyed. I think Livingston, who made an error that we referred to a few minutes earlier, came off, and you couldn't really have seen him figuring in that midfield exchange as Fisher did.
Brendan Favola has kicked 13 goals in the opening 4 games, 2 goals, 5 last week. Has he got his kicking boots on tonight? Not so far. Disappointing miss. 2 goals, Steve, that Carlton have to kick if they're going to be successful tonight.
Well, they don't get too many opportunities, and Brendan Favola, when he does kick goals, the Blues generally do win the game. So very important that he does have his kicking boot on.
Yes, he's had 2 accurate days this year, or nights, where he's kicked 9-1, and a couple of bad ones where he's aggregated 4-11. Archer gets his first kick on return, but the result not good, and it's Fisher again.
Great effort by Fisher, going back with the flight of the ball.
Now Koutafidis has space and time, and Hickmott, despite a stumble, has been able to mark it. The distance would test him. Colbert with the job on Whitnell. Watt has Favola. Hickmott, wonderful stalwart for Carlton. And his kicking has improved a lot. He has attributed that to the work Wayne Britton did with him. Big kick this from nearly 55. Has hooked it a little and has just missed. So the Kangaroos lead by 11 points.
Corey McKernan yet to get a disposal in this match. Makepeace at fullback. Decides to kick long. Colbert has to sit and wait. Couldn't complete the mark. At ground level, it's all Carlton. Well done by Harvey, but he gives it straight up to Hume. 50 from goal. The Blues players inside attacking 50 for the Blues. Favola has got it. Now, Favola is one player that can kick 55 metres, and he'll need to. But he is directly in front. Blues trail by 10 points. And a goal here would be valuable.
He shouldn't have any problems with the distance, Brendan Favola.
And just an example of, you can turn the ball over from the kick-in. You've got loose players inside, you're attacking 50. Certainly costly. Brendan Favola. From 55. It's a thumping drop punt, it's close. Does he squeeze it through? He has! Goal to Carlton. So Brendan Favola kicks his first, and the margin back to 4 points.
Yeah, they've worked at it, the Blues, and this flat on screen, Brendan Favola, as we said early on, if he's got his kicking boot on, the Blues are generally competitive throughout the game, and this was a lovely kick, and one the Blues really did need. Kicking this ball from outside 50, superb goal.
Carlton within 4 points. Keen contest. No, they're just playing it down. Just another game. Blues in the game now. McKernan getting Wiggins use of it. Hand pass nowhere. So another ball up. Sometimes think, Sauce, with a confidence kicker like Favola, that having a really long shot like that is the best thing for him, because he just really has to concentrate on kicking long distance.
Well, it's his action. He's such a lovely long kick.
Petrie, the rucking and the roving. Here's Harvey. Harvey, dangerous. Good tackle by Wiggins. Jones just getting it off, but to nobody. Lappin and Houlihan able to run onto it. Fisher, a good shepherd. The kick from Houlihan let him down, basically. Ball up.
It was a terrific tackle back there in Carlton's defensive 50. Tim, I think you might have said it was Wigan, but it was young Davies who's actually doing the go-with role on Harvey.
It was just enough, wasn't it, just to put them off, and in the end caused the turnover. Houlihan thumps it goalward. Simpson a chance. He's dragged down. Now a chance for Hume. Can he get the clear possession? No. Hickmott and Whitnell fighting hard at ground level. Free kick. Which way will it go? Carlton's way. Hickmott. Well, after a shaky opening in the first 4 or 5 minutes, Kangaroos started extremely well. Carlton have hit back very hard here. As we watch it again, free kick against Archer for a push in the back. Adrian Hickmott kicked a couple of goals last week against Port Adelaide in Carlton's losing side. And stellar career, 31 years of age now. Game 174.
Davies off, bleeding. Blues also brought off Fisher and Murphy, having served his time as back.
That's an interesting move, Steve, because Fisher really added something in the 4 or 5 minutes he was on the ground.
I'm pretty sure that Denis Pagan's just letting young Fisher just feel his way a bit. It is a long season, and as you see, he's not a well-built fella at present, but he's a player with plenty of potential.
Well, having said that, he's back on the ground. Hickmott from just 20 metres misses. Well, they've missed 3 opportunities now, Carlton, and trail by 3 points. Reaction from Adrian Hickmott.
A little more polite than Favolas earlier. Make peace. Decides City side first and then Dock side. Good option. Stevens. Colbert. Still behind the wing. Make peace again. Providing great run out of the back half and excellent delivery to Morrell. That was perfect. Too far out. Now there's an indication from the umpire there's been an infringement by a Kangaroos forward, and so the ball will be exchanged. Did you see what happened, Suss?
No, I didn't, but it's about the second or third of the night. Both teams have been involved.
Long into Carlton's half-forward line. Lappin, forward of the centre. We haven't seen him there often this year. Baird and Rawlings get the Kangaroos out of trouble. And now they can rebound and try and turn it into something. Archer sitting it up. Neatly done by Harvey against McKay. King, you never know what he'll do. That was perfect. And Harding is only 25 metres out.
And he's having a blinded Harvey at the moment. He's had 7 possession, and he just got McKay underneath the ball. We just see there, just a little nudge underneath the ball. Didn't really worry whether he was going to mark the ball, but just made sure the ball came over the back, and he was able to get on it quickly and get the ball across to young Hardy.
McKay was forced to leave his man to go and tackle Harding because Camporelli was falling behind Harvey, so it left his man exposed.
Been kicking straight this year, and this one wavered, but it did enough, and the Kangaroos go further ahead.
Well, great piece of play there by the Kangaroos, and as we mentioned, able to move the ball forward. Archer again figuring, and what a welcome return to the Kangaroos lineup. And Harvey just running hard, Steve, into their forward line, creating the opportunity, drawing the defence.
Yes, very dangerous, the Kangaroos, when they are running the ball out of their half-back line.
So the Kangaroos by 9 points. Carlton been very wasteful in this opening term. McKernan jumps early, takes it, kick towards half-forward, and Jarrod Waite comes to meet it. Well played, and he will have an opportunity from just outside 50. Elects not to waste any time, thump and kick, but he again is offline. And behind, another one. 2-5 now, Carlton. Margin is 8 points.
Blues exchange ruckman. French on for McKernan, and Adrian Hickmott suffered a very nasty injury in the equivalent game last year. These teams met on the Anzac Day round last year. Carlton's casualty rate that day was enough to just about finish their season. Kangaroos away. Colbert and Sinclair Or Carlton, and three of them collide. Jones, oh, he missed King. Davies patched up like Norman Gunston. McKay, loose. Harvey, dangerous. Oh, great smother. Clever kick, Lappin. Gives Whitnell the run at it. And then Lappin recedes. My word, he's a creative player at either end of the ground. And now Hickmott on the wing.
A couple of great pieces of play. The Kangaroos defence there in their forward 50. Some great tackling by King.
Long to half forward. Kangaroos have the numbers. 2 defeated. Red at best. Hume. Little kick inside attacking. 50 for Vola. He's proving a handful. This time against Lee Colbert.
And this is exactly what Favola has to do on Lee Colbert. Lee Colbert, not overly quick. Favola, a very quick forward. If he does get on his bike and lead, he will cause all sorts of problems for Colbert.
As we watch it again, there was 3 Kangaroos up there against 1 Blue, which left numbers at the ground level for the Blues. Brendan Favola has 1-1. Drop putt is close. He squeezed it home. Carlton edge closer. So, great reply and a quick reply.